I am not corrupted. Kazama snapped angrily. My judgment is unclouded. The Sanbi was going on to kill thousands of innocents. Someone had to do what was necessary. You are not a hero, Kazama Arashi. In fact, I am convinced you are an anti-savior. The sage shook his head. While I was one chosen by the gods to save the world, you are a Matsu Mikabashi's champion. The key that will allow the darkness to win the great game it is playing. And for this, if you have any sanity, any selflessness, any reason left in your soul, you know what must be done. Madara understood, and leapt before Kazama, reacting on impulse. I will not let you touch him, he told the god of shinobi, showing a genuine desire to protect his student, over my dead body. The power you contain, your very existence is a loophole in the gods' game, and Amatsu Mikabashi probably thinks it can turn you into a pawn, the sage of the six paths whispered. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten, and is cruel, but as long as you will live with the taint in your heart, you will be a threat to everyone, even your loved ones. Once you have welcomed it, it won't leave through any other way. If there is still clarity in your soul. Madara, Kazama's voice reached the undead's ears. Step aside. No, he refused stubbornly, unable to understand why he would let himself be sacrificed when he had the potential to try another path. You told me everyone must make his own fate. I will make an exception in this case, the Uchiha shot back. I refuse to see you die for this fool. Kazama stayed silent an instant, apparently genuinely surprised, before repeating his words more forcefully. Step aside. Madara prepared to deny him again, until he found the tone suspicious. This time, he obeyed, and waited to see his student's plan. The sage extended his hand to the teen, genuinely impressed, and fooled. Let us go to your original body, and do what must be done. Sure, the blonde raised his hand. And jammed a talisman inside the sage's own palm. The surprised undead grabbed his sleeve, but it was too late. His body started crumbling, and he glanced, astonished, despaired, at his betrayer. There is so much work to do, the blonde told him. I cannot die yet, when my task is left uncompleted. I won't let you stand in my way, I won't let anyone stand in my way. Not Konoha, not my parents, not Mikabashi, not Madara, and certainly not you. I shall not be a sacrifice, ever again. May the gods take pity on your soul, the sage whispered, as he peacefully fell to his knees, turning into dust. For I am afraid, they won't. As the creator of ninjutsu vanished from this world once more, Madara glanced at his apprentice, impressed by his quick thinking. Son. The teen hugged him. It was a surprising action, and for a brief instant Madara wondered if it wasn't an attempt at backstabbing him. As no dagger pierced his back, the Uchiha answered by putting his rotten arms around his student. Thank you, he heard him whisper. You're welcome. Kazama hastily broke off the embrace, obviously inwardly conflicted about his feelings. Madara's Sharingan observed the emotions racing over his face, and asked the fateful question. What do you plan to do next? The blonde regained a stoic demeanor. The leaf must burn, he simply told him, before dispelling the cage bunchen. You better find a way to get your arms back, to be up for the task.
Kazama.
While putting her kimono back on, Izanami stopped moving for a few seconds. She then turned her head to watch her lover, who was putting his armor back on as well, except the helm. She sat on the bed and sighed. You used the talisman on the sage. Yes, he confirmed, as the memories of the shadow clone rushed through his brain. It had to be done. Madara was seriously a bad influence on him. What exactly were you doing with him? The woman frowned, before gently helping him in his task. Her fingers felt warm, as she helped him put back his gauntlets. Of course, he had felt the same sensation in other areas in the past minutes. You can tell me, you know. After sleeping together, I don't think you have much to hide from me, Izanami grinned slyly. I will tell you later, he told her softly, just as she would tell him her secrets when she wished. It's complicated. Just remember I created these tags and did not use them on the rest of our undead friends for a reason. They are complicated to make, precious, and limited in number. She put her arms around his neck. I hope you did not waste this one for nothing. Not at all, he replied gently. Thanks for lending it to me. You're welcome. She kissed his cheek. I however expect compensation for this loss. He narrowed his eyes. As much as it was useful in bringing down Madara, Edo Tensei is a monstrosity. Better see these undead all gone, and never see you use them again. Sigh, alright, Izanami rolled his eyes. But I will double the compensation. And next time, I'm going to be on top. He chuckled, seized her hand and caressed it. Anything you want. I'm helpless against you. You got to take me on a vacation, the Uchiha chuckled. Why not in your homeworld? Certainly there must be beautiful places where we could spend time, alone. I believe I should be the one to point that out, Kazama spoke. What exactly did you tell Mei? And, were you truly serious?
Jealous.
Of course. Unlike his lover, Kazama found this kind of behavior, well, it wasn't his taste. You're the only one I want. The woman seemed to tense a little, before regaining her usual unserious demeanor. What do you want? I'm looking forward to new experiences and pleasures. When you have my condition, you have to find ways to entertain yourself. She put her arms around his own. If you don't like it, I will stop bothering others with it, but honestly, Mei seems okay with it, and Conan probably wouldn't mind.
Conan?
We're pretty much her only friends now, I'm sure she wouldn't say no. Izanami's eyes widened. Wait, I understand now. It's a guy you want. Kazama groaned and began chanting over and over. I'm not listening, I'm not listening, I'm not. I'm not going to share the bed with this Sasuke, the Uchiha glared at him with fake shock. That would be so wrong. And if you're suggesting Jiraiya, I break up. He kissed her on the lips, silencing her antics. The two of us will be fine, the cage replied upon breaking the contact, moving on to put his helmet over his face. I have been thinking a lot over us. I think we can build something. There is so much we can do, everywhere we wish. Izanami frowned briefly at the helmet, before putting her own mask on. Sometimes I wonder why we keep masks on, is it to hide something? Or because it is our real face, and what is underneath a mere mask of flesh? A smart question indeed. Kazama tensed, upon hearing the sinister voice. I am pleased with your choice. There is hope for you. I will not let you control me, he replied coolly. Control. I do not control. I open the mind, I unleash the desires most do not have the strength to follow on. This so-called sage did not understand what he was talking about. The dark deity went silent for an instant. I believe it is time we meet in person. To speak of the truth, and of our future. To show you the light. Kazama blinked. When and where? Very soon. I shall come for you, not the other way around. I owe you this for the troubles I caused you. Well, Izanami's voice snapped him from his spiritual conversation. I guess everyone loves his secrecy, he replied, offering his arm in a gentlemanly way. After the Uchiha interlaced her arm with his, the couple went on to walk through the tower, approaching the main hall. My men are supposed to do their daily report. Hopefully, it will be quick.
He had no idea how wrong he was.
Lady Angel, a captain spoke, wearing the black cloak and red clouds. I assure you, we thought this matter was not important enough. Not important enough. Conan scowled wrathfully, an expression Kazama was unfamiliar with. You let the population prepare an unauthorized stoning, and you call this unimportant. Since they are confirmed to be traitors. You attempted to kill a kid. Naruto growled, which astonished the Amekage. He noticed Namikaze, Itachi, Orochimaru and the Shodai were present as well. He wasn't even 8 years old. He's a spy in training, the captain shot back calmly. It's like a weed. If you let it grow, in a few years you're faced with an invasion. The god tasked us to destroy the enemy, and the citizens wanted to prove their loyalty. I don't see what my service did wrong. Whether you did right or wrong will be mine to decide, Kazama coughed, drawing everyone's attention. The captain bowed respectfully, while the rest either glanced at him in confusion, or in Naruto and Conan's cases, seriousness. As Izanami released his arm, the cage stepped forward. What is the matter? The police handed a suspect and her son to the population without our authorization, Conan explained while sending a potent glare to the captain. They decided to execute her and made an attraction out of it. Naruto, Itachi and Minato ran into it and dispersed the mob. Conan noticed the racket with her tags and brought Hashirama-san and myself just in case, Orochimaru spoke. It was disturbing for the Amekage to speak with someone with the face one who had once been his greatest foe. What excuse do you have? Kazama asked the captain, who cowed before the threatening tone. I will give you the chance to defend yourself. My service identified the suspect as a spy, the policeman explained. Nono Yakushi is also known as Nanagishi, according to our sources in Iowa. As per standard procedures, we captured her, undertook a close examination of her home, and extracted a confession from her. As for the boy, he was being trained as a spy. We thought letting him go was out of question, and since citizens had already asked to show the proof of their loyalty to you, well. Kazama inhaled sharply. Captain, you misunderstand. I did not go through the trouble of creating tribunals to let the mob do its own justice. You give them liberties and then they go overboard and start picking on innocents. He should know. He had been a victim of this himself. And while child soldiers are dangerous, having an 8-year-old boy killed is out of question. Next time, send them to the re-education centers. Orochimaru briefly raised his head at the latest words, but Conan was faster. Kazama, we can't let this woman be executed. Whatever her goal was, her son was almost killed because of aim. We have to lessen her punishment. I never said she would die. He glanced at the captain. I will overlook this error in judgment this once, since you wanted to carry out my will, however, this is the last time. If I hear the mob was allowed to run rampant once more and you did nothing to calm it, I shall be forced to cleanse your service with fire. Nanagishi and her son will be sent back to the border safely. If she ever returns to AIM, she is to be killed on sight. Thanks, merciful lord, the policeman said, before quickly exiting the room, hurriedly executing his master's will. Sighing, Kazama glanced at the rest of the people present. I apologize for this behavior, he spoke, but ever since I took over, Iowa has been looking forward to annexing AIM. They have already run multiple operations against us in the past weeks, and I simply aim to be careful. I am afraid some people went too far with the orders they were given. Perhaps your personality cult has something to do with it, Minato Namikaze noted dryly. I do not see what you are talking about, Kazama shrugged. Hopping the man would be wise enough not to seek any more conflict, which was proved to be false very quickly. Oh no, you see, the Yondaime whispered. Your people are turning vicious because you filled their head with this whole, a god I am, crap, and now they commit atrocities in order to please you. This kind of behavior couldn't have happened without propaganda. Kazama glared silently at the Hokage, father and son locking eyes. They stayed that way for several seconds, until Itachi put a hand on Izanami's shoulder. We should let them alone. Both the masked woman and Conan nodded, and the Uchiha glanced the rest. We will stay, Orochimaru spoke, the Shodai backing him up. There are things we need to discuss as well. I will stay too, Naruto whispered. No, you won't, Kazama glanced at her. Please, Naruto, just this time, leave us alone. You will not like what shall be said, Izanami added. The little girl refused adamantly. I shall stay here. I won't say a thing, but I will listen. Kazama clenched his jaw, but did not insist. The determination in her eyes would not be denied. In the end, only the Amekage, his adoptive sister, Minato, Orochimaru and the Shodai remained. I only have second-hand guesses of what happened in your universe, Namikaze, the world wanderer hissed, and none of what I've heard gives you the right to criticize what I'm doing here. You know nothing. I know enough to see into what you're warping this nation into, Minato replied. It took me time to realize the full extent of your crimes. You're a tyrant, Kazama Arashi. That is obvious. You brainwash the citizens of this land. I brought them security, justice, and civil rights. I forged order and equality out of anarchy and they worship me for it. You can't put one bad event I did not authorize on my shoulders. The policies I put in place, all of them, serve a goal, to ensure lasting peace and a haven of stability. Unlike you, I face real, constant threats every day. There is a shinobi world war outside, and AIM needs an iron fist to survive. I asked only for obedience, nothing more. It is a shame a few act as zealots, but I prefer zealotry over open rebellion. You stage public executions to instill fear in the heart of the people. The people. Since when do the people know what good for them? Look around you. AIM was a hellhole long before I arrived. And why? Because people from Iowa, Konoha, Suna, weren't satisfied with what they already had. Because people fight for things as meaningless as borders, flags, and money. For the honor of calling themselves the greatest nation in the world. Your people reaped this country, Namikaze, and because rulers like you gave into their whims. And then, few individuals like Conan and I are left to fix the mess you guys leave in their wake, and we are forced to do it on our own. He paused briefly. Where do you think the people were, when Zabuza confronted Yagura to save Kiri? Rebelling en masse? No, they were hiding in a hole, waiting for the storm to pass. They wait for others to solve their problems and then blames everyone but themselves when bad things happen and oppose their helpers. Everywhere I went in this country, I faced opposition from nobles, clans, and for what? So they could keep their privileged status. Yugito can't return to her country because she did the right choice, damn it. Haku became an exiled because she wanted to make a better future. Because heroes are so few, and their efforts go unrewarded. And what are you going to do? Minato replied. Tell them to die in your name. In the Omegakure I'm creating, there shall be no shortage of heroes, for I will have removed their ability to think otherwise. I will destroy inequalities. I will destroy racism. I will wipe out the names of clans until they are identical to any other citizens. No one is going to get special treatment because his distant ancestor happened to be a great man or whatever. I will build a community where bloodline wielders won't have to hide, where individuals will be treated fairly regardless of their status and be judged on merit alone. Soon, no child in AIM will have to fear being ostracized, no one will be rejected for no good reason. I will create a place where there is no crime, no strife, no sin, and for this I have to pull out weeds. For while will without order is destructive, order without will is powerless. To achieve true order, to create a better world, one has to dirty his hands. That's what these re-education camps are for, isn't it? Minato frowned. You're brainwashing political opponents. Destroying their will to fight back. This is not heroism, but manipulation. Don't be ridiculous, Kazama replied angrily. I'm curing the children your kind sends on the front line. I'm getting rid of your indoctrination. Children. The Shodai's expression worsened. What do you mean? I abolished child conscription. The hidden villages didn't get the memo then. Kazama crossed his arms. Genin are sent on the front lines as soon as they can carry a kunai, which is to say, really young. My troops happen to capture many of them, and the re-education centers are simply a place where they can be taught dying for the mission, and the ninja code is not a nice idea. I am simply trying to save lives and avoid seeing people turning out like Kakashi, he glared at Minato. Or dying on the front line like another student of yours. The point came across, for Minato blanched, and glanced away. The Shodai, however, did not understand. Not that Kazama blamed him. After all, he died years before he could see the Will of Fire's results. When I was young, children younger than 8 were conscripted and sent on difficult missions which often ended in slaughter. It had gotten so bad that after a certain point, many warring clans would frequently aim for them in battle for a multitude of progressively sicker reasons. The Senju admitted, I created Konoha to better protect them, to give them missions they could undertake. To create a better world for the new generation. For an instant, the Amekage felt truly sorry for the man. He hadn't considered all the reasons that pushed him to build Konoha. As much as it hurt him to do so, Kazama told the old warrior the blunt truth. This era is not that different from the previous. Now when genin of 10 die on the battlefield, it's for the village instead of the clan. You made the wars bigger and more organized, Shodai, nothing more. Your dream of peace is as dead as you. In the dark future you created, there can only be war. And I intend to correct that. If the world won't change, then I will make it change. So the public executions, they will go on. The cult of personality, since it makes people behave when I tell them to help each other, so be it. Do not judge me on my methods, but what I seek to bring about. You have results, fine, Minato spat. But at what cost? You're taking away freedom, and your actions show you shall suffer no compromise. How much blood will you have to spill to be satisfied? Will you break everyone that tries speaking against you, or ask for greater rights? What makes you different from Hanzo? I remove the chance of compromise, because there is no compromise when you have to do what's right. I am nothing like Hanzo, Namikaze. Hanzo was a fool who deluded himself, perhaps even believed he was protecting his country, but it was all a lie. He fed himself to justify the perpetuation of his power. All he wanted was to maintain an unjust system built on inequalities and corruption. Kazama snorted. You give people a finger, they take the whole arm. First they ask for money, they will ask for privileges. I can give special rewards for individual efforts, but I refuse to recognize any group. For the state exists to bring the worthy, the determined and the good in greater positions than those who do not deserve it, and to ensure stability. I am trying to create a society based on merit, and if retribution is needed to maintain the social order, so be it. Kazama, Orochimaru politely coughed. May I be blunt with you? As the cage nodded, the man inhaled sharply. I will not criticize the need of using force when needed. I brought peace to my world by leading a violent revolution. But, you are doing it all wrong. The Sannin began to elaborate. People are not by nature, with a few exceptions, evil. They tend to become so when pushed by personal experiences or suffering that ultimately warp them. Or they follow their leaders, abandoning their conscience to find a meaning for their life by wholly devoting themselves to a purpose, no matter how warped and wrong. This was Alpha's world. Her soldiers committed atrocities because they thought following her ideals gave them some worth in their cold, empty life. I punished the worst of them, but many are truly regretful about they did. It does not bring back the innocents they killed. No, it does not. Orochimaru sighed sadly, but I do believe in second chances for those who truly wish to help others. The zealots you created are drawn to you because you have a vision and charisma that make them think you can truly back it up. These zealots truly believe you shall make a better world. Alpha created many of them herself. But this does not solve every problem. These people rely on you to guide them, to solve their problems, instead of trying to solve it themselves. And then, when their rulers become corrupt, they suffer, and the circle of hate continues when a new savior comes. This is why I created democracy. It is the only system where people will grow to reach enlightenment and learn to try solving their problems, by making their own laws, instead of relying on higher authorities. People are fundamentally unjust, Kazama shot back. You think the bloodline purges in Kiri were Yagura's invention? No, they were supported by the people themselves. It wasn't Yagura's men who killed Haku's mother and destroyed her childhood. It was her own father, a mob, and racism. When people take matters in their own hand, innocent blood is always shed. Whereas by suppressing them, you can direct their impulses to useful purposes. All wrongs have to be avenged, and this cannot be done in a democracy. Kazama, Namikaze shook his head. You may not believe me, but I thought the same as you once upon a time. The Amekage raised an eyebrow, and the Yondaime continued. I was betrayed by people I thought were my friends. I lost my wife, the man who was about to become my stepson, and companions. Madara told me I would one day understand what drove him to greater heights of monstrosity, and I did. It's pain. Pain fuels revenge, and then warps the individual. It destroys us, make us blame the world for our own suffering, and lash out. I blamed the world too, wondered what was needed, and what I should do to fix it, and then I saw my own son about to engage on Madara's path. That path I had started to undertake without being aware of it. Revenge is not justice, Kazama. It is a perversion of it. It is not worth the sacrifices it needs. It does not bring any satisfaction. Revenge is justice, if merciless, Kazama shot back. Don't you see I want to fix the world? I just want to create a place where nobody will suffer as I, and so many of my loved ones, did. And it cannot be achieved without avenging the wrongs that were done to you. It is not achieved by letting people do what they want, but what they must. For this, you will need to destroy free will. I saw what the last attempt resulted in, Orochimaru said. As long as free will is, your struggle against evil shall never end, for people will always have the choice to do what is right or wrong. Your problem is that you have too much empathy for others. You blame yourself for every victim, you think you can solve all problems. You want to believe you can. But the lines you will have to cross to build a world without problems and sins, you will turn into another alpha. You shall become the exact kind of person you struggled all your life against, and the circle of hate shall be ignited one more time. And if you happen to succeed, you shall rule a world of silence and stillness. I am not Alpha, I am not Madara, I am not any of them. Kazama snarled. Suppose I go with your solution, and that in 1,000, 2,000 years, people become enlightened, how many innocents will suffer in the meantime, when a powerful authority can prevent them? Don't you get someone, anyone, has to step in and...
Guys.
The different individuals glanced at the newcomer. Jiraiya had adopted a serious, uncharacteristic face. You better come. All of you. It's really serious. Kazama prepared to blurt the discussion was important, but the glint in the man's eyes calmed him. With a nod and in silence, he made a sign to the very much confused Naruto, who nodded back. The two left the room, followed by the rest. The group was guided by the Toad Sage in the main hall of the palace where Kubaiko's armor was projecting a light against a wall. Everyone else was gathered there, some with confused expressions, and others with grim ones. What's the matter, brother? Hashirama asked. Karasu Uchiha, he pointed a finger at the teen, brought me a series of number. As it turned out, it was a code for a holographic message sent by a friend, Vajra. And you better all see it. The light switched, and the picture on the wall became red. An old, tired voice resonated in the court. It was oddly familiar to Kazama, but he couldn't put a name on it, as distorted as it was by the projector. Kubaiko, if you're hearing this message, then my desperate plan worked. If it is someone else, please listen to my warning. Images followed, each portraying disturbing scenes. The white, inhuman creatures Kitsune had fought some days ago were pictured attacking and eating civilians en masse. Armored warriors with gas masks were shown forcing slaves to work to build towers with whips and kicks. Villages were revealed incinerated by ninja wearing Odo's headband. They call themselves the Tikoku. The picture of a flag composed of a red background and 10 crowns of different colors followed the declaration. I don't know who they are, or where they come from, but they are here. They appear to be a confederation of universes who banded together to expand across the infinity, using the breaches as gateways to attack unsuspecting planets. Their armies probably number in the millions of soldiers, divided in many smaller forces. Dozens of Earths have already fallen, and others continue as I speak. The image switched to a desolate, barren field, which had been obviously burned to the ground. You must be asking, how can they assimilate entire planets, pacify them, and create colonies out of them in such a short time? The voice chuckled sadly. They don't. The picture of a rift in space appeared. Their modus operandi is simple. They notice a breach, study the world beyond it, recruit the locals willing to help, then they invade the planet by surprise, raiding its main settlements for resources, be they minerals, knowledge, equipments, and more than anything else, for a reason I have yet to grasp, they are fond of abducting humans. By exploiting the breaches to launch lightning-fast attacks in the center of nations, the local armed forces are taken completely by surprise and annihilated, leaving only chaos and death in their wake. They are not conquerors. They are looters. The voice coughed. After they take everything they can get away with, they either turn back to one of their main worlds, conquer the planet completely if it catches their fancy, or they destroy it completely. What their grand goal is, if they have any, is a mystery. The picture of an armored man, laying to the ground in a pool of blood, an iron boot stomping his mask, replaced the previous one. They captured me while I was in the middle of an exploration mission, and attempted to open my mind and steal my secrets, which they failed at, and hopefully, it will stay that way. I managed to hack into their computers and exploit them to free one of their captives, with this message and another information stolen from their database. Image of Konoha nins facing diverse soldiers wearing red clothing and strange weapons repeated themselves, over and over, before a series of crimson numbers replaced them. On these coordinates, you will find the location of a world they are in the middle of invading. Here they intend to build the relay, whose plans the Uchiha should have memorized. If you do not have the time to examine it, then let me explain you what it is. It's a breach opener. Once it is activated, it will drain the planet's natural energy, slowly turning it into a sterile, desolate husk of its former self, and then use the energy to forcefully open and close breaches in 100 of nearby universes at any time the Tikoku wishes it. Billions of lives will be threatened if this super weapon is completed. A face Kazama deeply despised was projected on the wall, except instead of a mad grin, this man was harboring a friendly grin, while smelling a blue rose. Sasuke, especially, tensed. One of the main leaders of the Tikoku, a potential version of Deidara, is in charge of the relay, and I am to be transferred to his custody when it is completed. Perhaps they hope to blackmail me by threatening other worlds if I do not accept to work with them. The coordinates I gave indicate the facility where I should be detained next. If you manage to free me, we could sabotage the relay and prevent it from activating. The picture turned blank. You must inform as many planets as you can, Kubaiko. If they keep spreading, the entire infinity might be set ablaze. Well, the remains the collapse spares. They have to be stopped at all costs. I would give you more info, but I'm running out of time. You're my last hope. Do what you can. Do what you must. The voice was silenced, and Kazama glanced at the gathered crowd. Worried discussion started, and the Amekage locked eyes with Namikaze. I believe a united front is in order. Much to his surprise, the Yondaime nodded and asked a question. Do you happen to have a war room?
Naruto.
I say we should gather strength and strike them first, Jiraiya suggested. Why waiting for them to come? That would leave our worlds unprotected, Sarutobi replied. Beside the fact we know this Tikoku exists, we have no idea where they are, when they will attack, how their chain of command operates, their name and MO. That is everything we have. We need to send scouting parties, Naruto Senju suggested. How? I am the only one with the ability to transport multiple individuals, and my control over this ability is limited. Kazama crossed his arms. Besides, the Sandaime is right. Right now, perhaps every single one of your homes are threatened. We need to get back, Itachi cut in. Nearly all of us have political authority irrespective of their home, and our inner circle is aware of the existence of parallel worlds. We can mobilize armies and prepare for a potential assault. I doubt many will listen to a school teacher, Iruka pointed out. I am afraid not many will believe such story here, Kushina pointed out. My husband will trust me, but there is a war outside, and not many resources will be wasted on a threat the rest of the high command will obviously underestimate. Then we will end the war. Everyone glanced at the third cage. From what I understood, the current conflict was started by my disappearance. If I return to Suna, and the other cage to their home villages, then we can talk our ninjas into stopping the fight. We have the legitimacy needed. Some will have doubts, but it should be easy to prove we are the real ones. With luck, we might even constitute an international force to face the new threat. A ninja alliance. Mew mused. My, I never thought I would agree on something like that, but the idea has merits. Naruko barely listened, lost in her thoughts. She wanted to convince herself Orochimaru and Minato were mistaken. That they were wrong. That her mentor was right. That everything Kazama had done was for the greater good, that it was necessary, that these were extraordinary measures, that it would be worth it in the end. So far, it hadn't worked. Kazama is the first person who ever treated me as a human being, Naruto told herself. He acknowledged me, trained me, took me under his roof, treated me as a member of his own family. I have no right to judge him. I have no right. I have no right. And yet, the memory of Kabuto's bruised face was vivid in her mind. It's not his fault, she told herself. It was the work of bad people. The same people who rejected her back in Konoha. It was their fault, not her mentors. If the world won't change, then I will make it change. So, the public executions. They will go on. The sentence chilled her to the bone, and a hand warmed her shoulder. Izanami said you would not like what was going to be said, the blue-haired woman, Konan, whispered softly. Naruko bit her lip. Is a Megakure truly safer? Konan narrowed her eyes. It is, for a price, she admitted. My friends and I tried to change it another way, and we failed. I don't like what I'm doing, but there is no other option left. In the future, a Megakure will become a nicer place to live in. I will make sure of it. She locked eyes with the little girl. Do not blame Kazama too harshly, she said softly. He's a good man at heart. He helped me and my friends when he had nothing to gain and everything to lose. He risked his life fighting a tailed beast for the sake of people he never liked in the first place. Whatever he did it for others. But, he is human. And human are inherently flawed, I am afraid. It's through our friendship we can overcome these flaws. And right now, I think he needs us all. Before Naruko could reply anything, a familiar voice snapped her out of her trance. Then this is decided, Kazama cut in. I will send you back in a few hours. Prepare your belongings, and prepare your countrymen. I will contact you once more in a week at most to prepare a global strategy. He glanced at the gathered individual. Now, please, leave me. I have to discuss my own strategy with my inner circle. Sasuke, you can stay as well. A few minutes later, only the member of the ragtag party of world travelers, Konan, Sasuke, and Izanami remained. The Amekage crossed his arms. Konan, you stay there and prepare a Megakure for war. The armor I commissioned was finished before our latest battle. No one will see through it. But what will you be doing? The paper woman asked with a frown. The collapse and the relay have to be dealt with, Kubaiko guessed. Unfortunately for the former. Without Vajra and Omoikane, we will never finish a device that could harness your power to solve the problem in time, Kazama-san, Kabuto explained. There is another possibility. Yugito coughed. Kumo, there is a special place where one can learn to harness the power slumbering within oneself. The Tailed Beast Temple. You think I could master the essence there? Kazama raised an eyebrow, doubtful. Perhaps. It's the only option we have, as far as I know. Yugito glanced at Naruko. It might also be the occasion for you to master the Kyuubi's chakra. Naruko's eyes widened. Perhaps could it allow her to meet Kurama again? I already have a good relationship with my Kyuubi, I will pass. Karasu scratched the back of his head. Took me enough time already. My body is not advanced enough to support more firepower, Chibaku pointed out. Kabuto and Kubaiko already had enough trouble repairing the damage I received against the case cage. I would be better suited demolishing the relay. I'm using a different way of getting control of Kurama's powers, but I've still visited the place before and know how the training there works. Inari shrugged. I won't be able to get anything significant done there, but I can give out a few pointers for anyone that needs help if they need it. Kazama, Sasuke coughed. What about Pain? As long as he's rampaging, our world will never be unified. Izanami raised an eyebrow. Pain. A warlord currently occupied trying to take over my world. Kazama crossed his arms. Perhaps he might be in league with the Tikoku, and if he isn't, he might work with them if given the chance. He has to be removed, but he is an SS rank ninja. There are so many fronts, and so little manpower. Mei coughed. May I suggest a strategy? She began her explanations. We split up. You, Kazama-san, go to your world to solve this collapse problem and take most of our heavy hitters to deal with pain. While a smaller force is sent to infiltrate the planet where Vajra is imprisoned, free him, and destroy the relay if possible. We have no idea how many soldiers they have stationed there, so a little, discreet, efficient squad would better than flashy ninjas. She's right, Kubaiko nodded. Kazama-san, if you send Kabuto back to the end, we will be able to use Eon to attack the relay, and at worst you can serve as our backup transportation. I am obviously the best fit to lead it. Haku, Karasu, and Chibaku should be enough for a rescue mission. Well, it's not as if my home wasn't probably a ruin already, Karasu shrugged. I'm in. The two of us as well, Haku hastily added, Chibaku confirming with a nod. Meanwhile the rest of us will confront pain, Kazama noted. This should be. Kitsune narrowed his head. I am not going with you. The Amekage glanced at him. What? Where will you go? I spoke with Sarutobi, and, the boy raised his head, trying to look confident. I believe it is time I face justice. For my crimes. No, Naruto shouted in horror. You're going to get killed. If this old eyesore convinced you, Kazama hissed. No, I demanded him if a trial was possible, and he accepted. I do this of my own free will. Kitsune glanced at his brother-like mentor. There are parents whose children lay dead, their killer unpunished. You owe them nothing. Kazama narrowed his eyes. Nothing, you hear me? It was the Kyuubi who killed their children, not you, and they forced you to rely on it in the first place. The Kyuubi may have ordered the deaths, but it was my hand that did the deed, and in my weakness, I did not resist. The monk shook his head. I am responsible for what happened. My guilt consumed me, and now, I want to let it go. Either I will die or be absolved. Kazama glanced at the gathered people. Naruto, Chibaku, you can stay. The rest of you, leave the four of us alone. A few looked as if they were ready to disagree, but the teen's firm gaze convinced them to hurry. Once the four Uzumaki were alone, Kazama intertwined his fingers. How long? Kitsune raised an eyebrow. How long what? How long since we started traveling together? The Amekage replied. Weeks. Months. To me, it feels like years we've been struggling together, and losing our loved ones together. Chibaku lowered his head. I don't know if the feeling is mutual but. Kazama glanced at each and every one of the trio. You three are the closest thing I ever had to a family, alongside Sasori and Kakashi, Zabuza, Haku, and the others are friends, but the four of us, it's beyond friendship. And, I wondered if we could be a clan in right and fact. Naruto's jaw dropped. You mean? I have been thinking about adopting you as brothers and sisters, he said. Our group is more than a party. It's a family, and I thought we could become one for real. Perhaps even extend the offer of membership to others. But you're the ones I want to become the core of the new Arashi clan. He glanced at Chibaku. Sasori is gone now. I feel indebted to him. I want to take care of you. I will never be the father he was to you, but perhaps can I be your big brother? Boss, Chibaku trailed off, sounding confused. I don't know what to say. Senpai, Naruto had tears in her eyes. I know I have done some bad things, Naruto, her mentor put his hand over her shoulder, but I think I can do this one right. I want to make it right. He glanced at Kitsune next. This, I ask not as a friend, but as a relative. Please, do not go to Konoha. There is a better option waiting for you. You deserve this better option. Kazama, Kitsune stopped himself from crying, and hugged his brother. Whatever happens to me, whatever the judgment shall be, I promise you I will come back for you all. I will find how, no matter the obstacles, I will come back. Naruto joined the group hug, followed by Chibaku. The four were tightening against each other. So, the robot trailed off. Does it mean Izanami is my sister-in-law now? When will I get a nephew or niece?
Somewhere.
In a universe not that far away. A guitar was, in Deidara's humble opinion, the instrument that rocked the most. Versatile and yet powerful, it could create melodies of rare intensity. His brother-in-arms and adopted son seemed to approve, grinning wickedly behind his makeup. "What are you going to call it, senpai?" he asked, amazed by the music. "Burn Iowa burn," the bomber replied softly, glancing through the windows. The smoke was high in the sky, and the fire from the city below inspired him to write and play new symphonies. Fitting, I guess. At this rate, we won't even need the relay to demolish this xenophobic fucker's empire and wipe it from the face of the universe. I wonder if Danzo is going to like my art. Probably not. Hard to like it when you're being bombed by it. While he was a Naruto Uzumaki himself, the sound nin was as different from Deidara's student as one could possibly be. While Sir Naruto was always grinning and behaved like a goofball, the sound nin was as rigid as a post and reacted to anything with either cool indifference or murderous rage. While Sir Naruto liked flashy colors and extravagant outfits, the sound nin preferred conservative, practical gray uniforms. While Sir Naruto was friendly with his crew, the sound nin was a walking henchman killing machine. Although they both shared a trait, being turned on by violence. Probably why Orochimaru insisted these two would form a wonderful killing squad if put together. So far, the results had been quite bloody. Danzo, obviously not. I, however, am most fascinated by your flashy way of saying hello. The hologram and the cool, falsely friendly voice immediately ruined Deidara's mood. What do you want, Warlord? Don't you see I'm practicing for tomorrow's show? The matter at hand is more important, old chump. A team will be sent to rescue the prisoner soon. Keep him on a short leash. Deidara didn't need a memo to understand who he was talking about. I thought you were supposed to take the Uchiha back to your lair when you were finished with your current operations. He won't talk. His body is not the only part of him made of steel. The warlord chuckled. I've found better fuel for the inferno, if water is right. Better use the prisoner as a trap to catch the rest of the rats. I can just stuff him, you know, Sir Naruto suggested, like the two blondies. Quick, efficient, bloodless, no bad pun intended. Deidara was more worried about the better fuel part. Had their mole found something worthwhile? Whatever attracted the warlord was bad news for everything that breathed. The rats won't come if you kill him, and a threat on the life of his friends might be the key to unlock his secrets. The psychopath shrugged. Let him live, and let them come for him. Capture them next. You don't mind if one or two die on their way, right? Deidara asked politely, both the Naruto present grinning sadistically. The boys can be rough at times. The man's eyes shined, turning briefly blue. This is a trait we all share. Kitsune Arashi, Naruto the Werfox. Ninjutsu, A rank. Taijutsu, A rank. Genjutsu, D rank. Armed combat, A rank. Defensive techniques, C rank. Battle strategy, B rank. Special skill, shapeshifting, A rank. Shibaku Arashi, Naruto the Puppeteer. Ninjutsu, A rank. Taijutsu, B rank. Genjutsu, D rank. Armed combat, S rank. Defensive techniques, B rank. Battle strategy, A rank. Special skill, human puppet, S rank. Special skill, Nine Tails Chakra, S rank. Izanami Makoto Uchiha. Ninjutsu, S rank. Taijutsu, C rank. Genjutsu, S rank. Armed combat, A rank. Defensive techniques, A rank. Battle strategy, S rank. Special skill, space-time manipulation, A rank. Special skill, Sharingan, A rank. Yugito ni Ninjutsu, S rank. Taijutsu, A rank. Genjutsu, B rank. Armed combat, B rank. Defensive techniques, C rank. Battle strategy, A rank. Special skill, Two Tails Chakra, S rank.
Chapter 42. Rising Up.
Good luck, Kushina whispered, as she prepared to step into the portal of light and return back to Konoha. The Shodai Hokage was standing beside her, his arms crossed and face trapped in a stoic frown. I wish I could help more, but you already helped us a great deal. I cannot ask for more. Kazama nodded respectfully. It would be better to think of your child, your family, and the people that you will save by spreading the word. We will, she said. Kazama, I have been talking with Makoto about, well, treat her well. She has had a difficult life, and I only hope she finds happiness with you. I will try to be a good partner. His eyes drifted away in embarrassment. The redhead smiled in compassion. If you ever wish to speak with another Uzumaki, or simply speak, my door will always be open. She embraced him in a motherly manner, causing him to briefly gasp in surprise. Take care of yourself. You too, he replied, returning the hug. You know, my mother and I doubt we would have ever got along. But if she had been you, I would have been happy with a mom like you. He broke the embrace. Now go. We have duties to attend to. She smiled one last time, and crossed the portal. The Shodai stayed a little longer. Kazama-san, while our opinions clash on many subjects, I would like to give a few pieces of advice and wisdom I gained during my life. Kazama raised his eyebrows, and invited him to carry on. People sometimes do the wrong thing for the right reasons, the old leader told him. This is the dark side of authority. Those who have it are always, at one point or another, forced to do what they must, instead of what they like. Mito, my brother and I, were forced into difficult choices to safeguard the peace we tirelessly worked to establish. The Amekage briefly wondered if he was aware of his wife's actions behind his back, but kept his mouth shut. Better not interrupt the tale. What I did it to create a better world where my children, all children, could live a long, happy life, but I wasn't foolish enough to believe I could solve every problem alone. That's the true meaning of the will of fire. Having faith in the new generation, as the problems we failed to solve, only our successors could solve them. The current ninja world is the proof we old men failed, yet as long as there is life, there is hope. The Shodai shrugged his shoulders. Do not carry the burden of the world alone, he advised. This is what caused Madara to snap. You are not perfect. No one is. You will face failures, sometimes of your own making. Do not let them consume you. Do not obsess over them to the point of ignoring the good around you. One is never alone, Kazama-san. You have friends and a family that loves you for who you are. It is with them you shall be able to do great things, not in spite of them. When I look at you, I see Madara reborn, but history does not have to repeat itself. You can choose your own path, and I hope you shall. It has always been my intention. Kazama shook hands with the Senju. The world state, it is not you who failed. It was your successors who failed you. One day, I hope to see a world where your ideas made the world a brighter place where to live in. When the day comes, I hope you shall bring me there, to see for myself, the undead chuckled, stepping into the portal next. Farewell, Amekage. Oh, and could you tell Tobirama to stop wearing his scary helmet? It must frighten kids when he walks down the street. This applies to you too. I will, Kazama grinned. Out of all people, he had never expected the legendary Shodai to have a sense of humor. As the portal closed at his mental command, the blonde took a breath, deciding to fulfill his daily agenda in spite of the trouble. Each breach carved in the fabric of space and repaired next made him feel sick. Considering what the sage had revealed. The essence leaking from the seal is taking an effect on your health, but beside temporary weakness, it shall not threaten your life expectancy, as long as I keep it under control. You told me it was safer to wait. It is. What would happen if you were to be attacked when bedridden due to overuse of your power? And the spatial instability. As asked, I made it as insignificant as I could. Not important enough to permanently cause damage, but enough to open gates. The voice stayed silent an instant. You should put more trust in me. All I desire is to help you. To perfect you. I doubt our definition of perfect is the same. Flying tags put themselves in his way, snapping the blonde out of his thoughts and forcing him to stop moving. Kazama, Conan's voice reached his ears. Why don't you want me to come? The real reason. Kazama tensed slightly. He had underestimated her perceptiveness. I do not understand. The words themselves sounded hollow, and as expected, they weren't believed in the slightest. You should learn to lie better, the paper woman replied coolly. We both know I can easily let AIM run itself for a short time, especially with the Rinnegan's summons keeping the borders and my paper clones managing things in our absence. I can help you defeat Pain, Kazama, and you need backup, but you do not want me to meet him. Why? She grabbed his shoulder and forced him to lock eyes with her. Tell me, please. The blonde hesitated briefly, before realizing she wouldn't let him go without an answer. Pain is Nagato, or rather, the individual he could have turned into, had I not intervened. Conan's stoic expression crumbled into sheer astonishment. She was at loss of words for an instant, then adopted a determined look. I'm coming with you. No, Kazama frowned. We both know what will happen. He crossed the line already, and he isn't going to stop. Give me a chance to speak with him. Perhaps I can convince him to turn back. Perhaps he turned into Pain because Yahiko wasn't the only one to die. Maybe I can bring an end to his rampage. If it doesn't work, then we will do what is necessary. But please, let me try to reason him, just once. Kazama was aware it was a lost cause. According to Madara's information, Nagato was insane at this point, and his pointless destruction of Suna reinforced his thesis. Conan would be wasting her time, and yet, the Amekage himself had managed to save Gaara from his own darkness, to drag Kitsune out of his self-destructiveness. Conan could do the same with Pain. He desperately wanted to believe she could. Alright, he accepted, but if he refuses, I shall kill my heart and stop him, she finished, before turning away. I will finish sending the orders for the week to my clones. I should be ready to go in a few hours. Kazama watched her go silently, before walking toward the person the world wanderer wanted to talk with the most. Yugito, he said, we need to talk.
Yugito Niseben.
The Nibi's container glanced at the Amekage, and exchanged a nod with him. Are we ready to go? Not immediately, he replied calmly. We have a few hours left. You still have time to finish your training with the Raikage. He already explained me the secrets of his techniques, she shrugged. It shouldn't be difficult to reproduce them with a little sweat and effort. I could teach you one or two, when we get the time. Thanks, her friend replied. However, training isn't the only reason you wanted to speak with me, am I right? No, the young man confirmed. First, I would like to apologize for Izanami's behavior. She's often strange. Sometimes. Most of the time, she will not bother you again.
I will survive.
What happened? The Nibi slurred, upon waking up from its regenerative slumber. What did I miss?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Liar. What happened? Come on, I want to know. It's shameful, isn't it, kitten? Is it? I would rather die than tell you. It's unimportant, the former Kumo nin shrugged, trying to banish the horrible memory of the event from her mind. What else? Kazama joined his fingers and performed a jutsu. A sword materialized in a puff of smoke, and he handed it over to Yugito. This is yours, I guess, he announced. I thought that Kakashi would have wanted you to keep it. His father's blade, she seized the pommel. You had it reforged. This, I'm touched. This will be a memorial for us, to remember his sacrifice. Kazama shrugged. You might need it soon. As she sent him a confused gaze, he enlightened. Amatsu Mikabashi is trying to corrupt me, he said. It is whispering to my thoughts, and I believe I can keep its influence under control. My mind is pure steel, and I endured much worse than its words. However, should I fall under its control and be warped into a threat to my loved ones, I want you to do what is necessary. Permanently. He couldn't possibly mean, no. No way in hell. You are the only one on this team I can trust with that duty. His eyes shined with sadness. Our friends, their hearts will stop them. They will think I can be brought back, even if it is obvious I am lost forever. As such, as the most powerful, righteous member of this clan, and the one whose vision can see the truth about one's soul, please do what they won't have the strength to. Yugito bit her lips. Kazama, you can't ask me. I do. He briefly looked away. Hopefully, this shall never happen, and I shall master Mikabashi, not the other way around, but I would rather die than kill any of those I have taken under my wings. I understand it might hang heavily on your conscience, but you will do it. The warrior turned his back on her. I apologize for forcing you to carry this burden, but do not let it destroy your spirit. You still have hours to enjoy in peace. He vanished with a shunshin, leaving Yugito alone with her doubts. Pretty crazy, the Nibby whispered, and I can't feel Dad. Strange. You think he was released? Or that he departed of his own free will? I cannot say, kitten. The creature fell silent. What are you going to do?
I have no idea.
You are troubled, May noted, making Yugito gasp. She hadn't noticed her sneaking up in the room. What is the matter with your boss? Have you accepted Izanami's proposal, perhaps? Proposal. Oh, it sounds dirty. Never, Yugito snorted, narrowed her eyes. Tell me, May, have you ever done an act you deeply, truly regret? Who hasn't? The kunoichi put her finger on her lips. Why such question? I accomplished missions I'm not proud of when I was working for Kumo, she admitted. That's why I always try to do the right thing. I try to make up for what I did during that part of my life. And now, I was asked to do something I won't enjoy once again. I wanted someone's advice in the matter. Right and wrong are a matter of point of view, Terumi replied. They differ from each person. From his point of view, whatever he demanded you to do is right, while to you it is wrong. These notions are illusory. I would be better to think in what is necessary and futile instead. Keep in mind some choices may cause you pain, but they are needed for the bigger picture. There was chilling implications in the statement, causing Yugito to snort. Anyway, she switched subject. I've got to say goodbye to Killer Bee and Mabui. Want to join? They are of good company. Why not? The woman smiled politely. I'm curious about the world they come from.
Tailed beast. So
this sucks, the Nibby shrugged, observing its new body. I look like a kitten. Gee, you think I feel better? A fox kid with 9 tails deadpanned. Why the hell have we all turned into baby versions of ourselves? Maybe this is how we feel about ourselves subconsciously. A feminine copy of the fox kit suggested. It did not happen in our first meeting, but we didn't hold it in the deepest level of our shared mindscape either. We were all Kyuubi at this time, that wasn't necessary. Would someone explain me why we have been summoned here? Another Kyuubi, whose fur was crimson red, scratched the back of its head. The mindscape was an endless desert, and the sand was bothering it. We used to hold Biju meetings, the feminine Kyuubi explained, to discuss new developments and prepare strategies in case of threats. Let's do the introductions. I'm the robot's Kurama, one fox kid stated. And don't give me a nickname. We didn't, Matabi replied to the outburst. Let me guess, you received a humiliating one. What was it? Anyone who says it is dead, Chibaku's Kyuubi threatened. The girly one here is Naruko's Kurama. The flat-chested human girl my container loves to argue with, you see. Here is Matabi, the cat kept in Yugito, the woman the puppeteer keeps using his X-ray on. Really? Matabi chuckled. If yes, I'm going to tease Yugito to hell and back. Much to my horror, yes. I have seen his fantasies in his mind. I swear this is the one concept humans always obsess over. Naruko's Kyuubi coughed, forcing her counterpart to focus once more. The last 9 tails is the Uchiha's Biju. My container has a name, it cut in. Yeah, sure, the creature dismissed the words and pointed a finger at the last fox kit, resting a bit far away from the rest of the group. At a second glance, they all noted that he was a bit larger than the other counterparts. That's the feral Gale's Biju. Don't you want to participate in the meeting? The Nibby asked. There is one thing I learned after sharing a mindscape with a couple of humans reproducing in front of me and literally inside their own unstable spawn. The creature yawned. It is that there are indeed worse things than being locked up alone for nearly a century. Just let me enjoy their absence for a little while longer. Hey, why are you bigger than the rest of us? Karasu's QB asked curiously. We were sealed with only half our chakra in our containers, remember? The larger Biju lazily replied. My container has been willingly feeding me his yang chakra for several years now, so when he supposedly does gain control over my power, it is indeed over all of it. A small wry smirk momentarily appeared on its face. That is if he can. I see, Naruto's Kyuubi shrugged. There was one last Biju I tried to invite, but its seal is so tight and strong communication is impossible. Anyway, Chibaku's Kyuubi snorted. We've been gathered here due to one small problem. The sage of the six paths vanished. After asking questions about Arashi, Matabi groaned. Why the hell didn't you inform me about Amatsu Mikabashi sooner? You couldn't have not noticed it after staying near the teen for so long. Wait, Karasu's Kyuubi cut in. I'm lost, could you explain? Kazama Arashi, as Madara Uchiha before him, has been corrupted by Amatsu Mikabashi, which is possibly the origin of his special powers. The two tails groaned. Now he asked Yugito to kill him should he lose control, but why the hell did not you inform anyone? Naruto's Kyuubi sulked. We wanted to study the darkness and learn if we could devise counters against its influence. We have made progress, however slow, Chibaku's Kyuubi noted. Amatsu Mikabashi uses the Sharingan as a vector to gain direct access to our minds, forming a link between the Uchiha responsible and the Biju affected. The Uchiha's willpower override ours, twisting our perception of reality until we are no more than an extension of his personality, which means as long as we avoid direct eye contact with a Sharingan, we are safe. Relying on our empathic powers might be the key to defeat someone like Madara, Naruto's Nine Tails added. By using the link to overwhelm our attacker, we might be able to resist a direct takeover. And you risk the life of your containers and billions to learn this. Matabi sneered. Are you insane? You don't toy with gods. I agree. It is insanely foolish, Inari's Kyuubi pointed out from the back with a half-opened eye. Regardless of which multiverse, gods are notoriously irrational and whimsical if they get the faintest notion of being slighted by those they deem lesser beings, in other words all who reside on the mortal planes. More so if someone gets away with it. Is there any way to free the boy? No. Once Mikabashi is somewhere, it never goes away. Karasu's Kyuubi massaged its temples delicately with its claws. I'm going to kill him as soon as I get the opportunity. Hell, no. The Nibby jumped on its paws. Look, we mustn't be hasty. If you attack, the deity's retaliation might be worse, especially if the teen has to tap in its power to survive. There is another possibility, the Falls of Truth. The Biju exchanged gazes. It would lessen the problem, but the corruption shall remain strong, Chibaku's Kyuubi sneered. If Kazama succumbs to the darkness, it mimicked a gutting motion. We will do what is necessary, Naruto's Kyuubi agreed. Yeah, Matabi's tails wavered. So what do we do now? After a short silence, Inari's Kyuubi opened its maw. Poker anyone? Chibaku. I look forward to kicking your amphibian ass again, Manda taunted Gamabunta. It has been an honor for you to be defeated by my reptilian majesty. I will get my rematch, you atrophied worm, Gamabunta replied, as he vanished into the light. Hey, which one of us is a fucking legless Tyrannosaurus Rex, frog bitch? Manda shot back upon leaving the planet. Orochimaru, faster. I've got a baseball match with my subjects and you're the only one with arms. Take care of yourself, guys, the puppeteer told the clones, as they crossed the portal one by one. And don't forget to change your uniforms. Orange is the best color. Thanks for having improved my crow summoning scroll, Orochimaru-san. Karasu Uchiha bowed deeply before the Sannin. That was most wonderful. And now you modified my and Tsunade's contracts, the Sannin could be reunited anytime, no matter the distance, Jiraiya chuckled happily. Seriously, you're the best summoner I've ever come across. Thanks, Orochimaru blushed lightly. I guess everyone has his field of expertise. I could never equal Tsunade's medical expertise, nor your knowledge of ninjutsu. The three of us together could accomplish great things indeed, Tsunade added, before giving one last glance at Jiraiya. I look forward to seeing you again, she announced, before stepping into her own world, Shizune and Katsuyu in tow. The pervert Naruto's jaw dropped, as his mentor reddened and grinned mischievously. Did I imagine it? The boy whispered to the Senju Naruto, or your mom said she would like to meet Ero Sennin again. The moment he admitted he got his scars trying to protect you from Madara Uchiha, Mom's opinion of him drastically improved, the Senju replied, before adopting a foxy grin and following his mother. Tell Jiraiya not to act perverted around her and he might get a chance to score, with a lot of luck. No, you really think these two can work? Inari asked before his face turned to one of pure horror. The images. I can picture the dirty details and they won't stop. You fools. What have you done? It can't outdo the Kazama Izanami performance I recorded, Chibaku noted. I'll pass you the video one day, if Kazama doesn't kill me first. I pray heavens he never learns of my shameful, dirty sin. Really? Jiraiya and his student were instantly surrounding him. How does the girl look under the mask? See you around, Orochimaru whispered before escaping back to his world as fast as he could. Obviously, he wanted nothing to do with the dirty details. She's hot, less hot than Mei and Conan without her cape, but hot anyway. Chibaku glanced around himself. Please, don't tell Kazama I recorded their first time. He already tried to kill me when I admitted under the threat of a Rasengan I saw him getting doggy-doggy with his girlfriend in front of Naruto and Kitsune. Give us the video and nobody will get hurt, Inari grinned, not in a perverted fashion, but in an evil planning variant. Maybe I can use it to get something from Ghost, or Onoki and Roshi, or from my version of the old perv. Decisions. Oh, Onoki and Roshi are perverts in your universe too. Karasu rolled his eyes. What a coincidence. I wonder if it can match that level of perversion. Everyone glanced at him, and after checking that there wasn't Kunoichi around, he explained. They keep a secret porn stash containing dirty photos of all the hot women in Iowa, in the most embarrassing situations you can dream of, and I happen to record them with the Sharingan. I can draw them for you if you like. Ah, the Sharingan, Jiraiya grinned. My life would suddenly turn much brighter with it. The Byakugan's better, Inari argued. Trust me on this. I know it's better.
Naruto.
As Kitsune vanished into the light, after giving his farewells, Naruto prayed for his safety. Please, return, she whispered. He will not be executed. I will see to it, Sarutobi promised. According to Kazama-san, the portal will stay open, so he will return to you, perhaps not as you knew him, but he will come back. For now, he needs to face his past, and the fate he chose. As the Sandame vanished, it was Itachi's turn to leave. Once more, take care of yourself, Naruto, he advised her. And, do not let your mentor's actions weigh on your conscience. He made his choices, as you have made your own. I will remember, she said, before wishing him a good day. Finding no gate left for Iruka to cross, the blonde frowned in confusion. Where is your portal, Iruka-sensei? I'm not coming home, he explained, surprising her. I don't have anyone waiting me on the other side, and, let's be honest. Nobody would believe me. I will just get committed to an asylum if I speak the truth, and unlike the rest of the people present, a teacher does not have the political influence to prepare his world. I have found another way to protect it. Due to my fellow scientists' disappearance, I need an assistant. Fukuro, also known as Kabuto Yakushi, put his hand on the teacher's shoulder. Iruka-san will do fine. He will be more useful to billions with me than in Konoha. I see. Naruto intertwined her fingers, her curiosity getting the better of her. May I ask you a question, Uruka-sensei?
Yes, of course.
What does getting doggy mean? As expected, the man blanched, while Kabuto repressed a laugh, which confused Naruto. It's perverted, isn't it? Where did you hear that? The teacher asked with a blush. Chibaku said he had seen Kazama-sensei and Izanami-san getting doggy, she said. I've no idea what it means, but Kazama-sensei tried to kill Chibaku with a Rasengan the second he uttered these words. I thought you could explain. At this point, Kabuto couldn't repress an uproarious laugh, while his college cringed. Iriko intertwined his fingers. Sometimes, a girl and boy can fall in love and get close, in more ways than one. Yeah, and they date and sometimes they make babies. Naruto scratched the back of her head. Does it mean Kazama and Izanami are dating? What does it have to do with dogs? They are beyond that part. You know how babies are born, right? The girl is pregnant for a time and then give birth, she said. Everyone knows that. And how does the woman gets pregnant? Naruto had an eureka moment. She needs dogs. Well, oh my, how am I supposed to explain that without destroying your innocence? Drop it, Uruka-san, Kabuto replied, handing Naruto a book. This will be faster. Naruto glanced at the cover. Ninja Kama Sutra Collector Edition, by the Professor Yakushi. What does it mean? It's an illustration book, the scientist whispered mirthfully, while Uruka massaged his temples in dread.
Kazama.
Kazama-san, the Yondaime began. As much as we clash ideologically, I hope we can put our differences aside. The threat presented is too great for us to ignore. Again, I shall teleport to your world soon so we can prepare an organized alliance. Kazama dismissed his worries with Sasuke and the Dark Wolf backing him up. You should go. Maintaining a portal is harder than it looks, and it would be a shame to see you stranded here any longer. The invitation to leave wasn't lost on the Hokage, who appeared ready to retort, but Makoto Uchiha touched his sleeve, silently telling him it was pointless to start an argument. The couple left through the gate without a word, while the Anbu Kakashi and his wife stayed a little longer. Would it be possible to visit my counterpart's grave again? The Black Ops asked. I have an immense debt I will never be able to repay. You will come as many times as you want, once the Tikoku dealt with. Kazama politely bowed at them. I am happy to see in at least one universe Kakashi Hatake managed to find peace. I wish you as much happiness as this world can offer. Thank you, Kazama-san, Rin said serenely. Kakashi's good acts shall never be forgotten. We shall never forget him. As they vanished as well, Kazama glanced at Sasuke, who was lost in his thoughts. Is something the matter? You haven't undergone training in sensor techniques, so your ability to identify chakra cannot compare to mine, the Uchiha explained. My mother, I noticed 2 chakra signatures coming from her. One was slightly similar to Namikaze's. The implications caused Kazama to pause. So the Yondaime will be a father once more, he snorted. Hopefully, he will do a better job at it this time. Kazama-sama, the Dark Wolf whispered coolly. Since our allies are now all gone, with the exception of Tobarama Senju's squad, shall we depart soon? Yes. The Amakage crossed his arms. Then we shall separate. A small group shall go to the Tailed Beast Temple, the rest will try to gather info on Pain's actions and whereabouts. Nami can help at that, the masked woman said, as she materialized in front of the group. I am good at information gathering. This should be. Kazama-sensei. Naruto's scream cut the conversation, and Kazama put himself on guard. Was she attacked? If Madara had violated their truce, the World Wanderer was going to kill him with his bare hands. The girl materialized with a shunshin right in front of the group, sickly pale. She glanced at Kazama, then at Izanami, and finally, at her mentor again. Her horrified expression made the Amakage ponder if something very wrong had happened. Don't tell me. It can't be true, she cringed. You didn't do that, doggy. Please tell me you two didn't do that dirty thing. Yeah, something wrong had happened. I should have killed Chibaku, Kazama thought grimly, as Sasuke's jaw dropped. Obviously, he hadn't expected his rival to be busy. It's how to tell you that. I had sex with your sensei, yes. He was pretty good too for a newbie. Why am I dating her again? Because you crave unconditional attention. But that's disgusting. Naruto's expression worsened. You. Naruto, it's my fault, Kazama whispered, trying to console her. As your elder brother, I should have taught you on these subjects. Wait, I recognize this chakra. Sasuke glared at Kazama and gritted his teeth, his traits warped into a furious, and extremely funny, expression. You slept with my mother. To be honest, she came to me first. Kazama genuinely chuckled, finding his rival's face priceless. If you want to call me daddy, you're welcome. This brings the question, Izanami embraced her lover seductively, adding salt on the wounds. Sasuke would prefer a little brother, or a little sister. The fratricidal ninja did not find the strength to answer for several minutes. Kazama began to wonder if he hadn't suffered a heart attack. Then he formed a Chidori.
Naruto! Haku!
The departing had been a painless affair, the arrival a nightmare. After Kazama sent Iruka and Kukuro back to the end, Haku, Chibaku, Karasu and Kubaiko said goodbye to their friends. Chibaku had seemed slightly tense around the Amekage, but ended up hugging him and Naruto. Haku, take good care of yourself, the blonde girl had told her. And promise me you'll come back okay. I promise nothing bad will happen, the snow woman replied with a smile. We'll succeed, don't worry. I wish you good luck in your training. She grinned. I hope to see you mastering the Nine Tails power. Then you gotta hurry, her friend grinned. 'Cause I'm going to surpass you in no time flat. The snow woman chuckled lightly, and hugged the girl. Goodbye, Naruto.
You too, Haku.
After a final farewell, the squad left a Megakure, traveling to the area where they landed with Eon, hiding the device nearby. So, Chibaku began, giving a light tap to both Haku and Karasu. What did the zombie heroes teach you? Something awesome. Something shiny. Mu-sama taught me the basics of his invisibility and flight technique, but so far my progress has been slow. Karasu chuckled meekly. I don't have the chakra control needed yet. I thought Genjutsu took perfect chakra control to pull off. The puppeteer sounded somewhat surprised. You managed to trap a cage, however briefly. The Sharingan is a phenomenal focus for illusions, and I always had a great talent for them. I pale before Shisui and Itachi, but I am a Genjutsu master. Mu's camouflage is a ninjutsu affecting the skin, not an illusion, and I'm nowhere near proficient in this area. He shrugged. I can learn his jutsu in time. The cyborg nodded. I'm going to help out if I can. He glanced at the snow lady. And you? Haku raised her arm, and turned it into water, then ice. The boys whistled in unison, and Kubaiko himself briefly stopped to congratulate her. Impressive, he told her with genuine praise. It took you mere hours to learn the Hazuka's hidden jutsu. Thanks to your tutoring and the development of my water affinity, it comes naturally to me, she said. Combining it with my Hyoten is easier. However, I have made little progress in assimilating bigger bodies of water to increase my size, and neither did I manage to use the water bullet technique. Still extremely impressive, Karasu pointed out. The shitload of chakra control it must need is nothing short of prodigious. Tsunade level prodigious. Zabuza-sama told me repeatedly I had a bigger potential than his own, that I would surpass him. Haku found herself thinking about her dead master, which renewed her confidence and resolve. I will make you proud, I promise. Arriving at the device and sitting down, the group received a briefing from Kubaiko. I already visited the world Deidara is supposed to be invading, he explained. It's a place you wouldn't want to live in. What happened there? Chibaku asked. It's a bit complicated. Let's begin with the Kyuubi attack, which you're all familiar with. After the Yondaime sacrificed himself to seal the beast in Naruto Uzumaki, the former Sandaime Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, retook his former post, at least until a successor could be found. 12 years later, no replacement was in sight, and Konoha faced an invasion by a malevolent version of Orochimaru with the help of Tsunagakure. It failed spectacularly and the Sannin was forced to flee, the tails between his legs, but Sarutobi had to sacrifice himself. After Jiraiya refused the post, and Tsunade Senju having defected years ago, the daimyo declared the last living apprentice of mine as Godaime Hokage, a man called Danzo Shimura. No need to say more, Karasu said grimly. I get the picture. Haku was forced to agree. Danzo's ruthlessness was legendary, and the tales of his brutality during the Second and Third Shinobi Wars had reached Kiri and the ears of experienced missing nin all over. Did it end up like Alpha's world? Fortunately no. I don't think we'll ever see worse than her, Utopia. The Nadaime Hokage shuddered briefly, as Aeon activated. Konoha took over the elemental nations by force, yes, but as far as I saw, while it had become an empire, the leaf is nowhere as oppressive as Alpha's Konoha. If you avoided messing with the government, everything was fine. They spent the rest of the short travel in silence, and in Haku's case, trying to imagine how life was in a world dominated by Konoha. When Aeon finally arrived, it was shaking uncontrollably. Everyone, out! Kubaiko shouted, shattering the door with a chakra-enhanced kick. Hurry! The three teens obeyed instantly, their instincts reacting for them. A few seconds after they exited the machine, a projectile hit it from above, exploding loudly upon contact. The machine shattered into scraps and smoke, the remains releasing electric arcs. Well, we won't leave the same way we arrived, Chibaku deadpanned. What's happening? Haku wondered out loud, as deafening explosions resonated in the background. Smoke prevented her from seeing anything, and she had to cough to avoid having her lungs overwhelmed by it. Let's get to higher ground, the human puppet snorted, putting his arms around her and lifting her, as he started flying. Haku gasped briefly at the contact, especially since the robot happily touched certain parts. However, she was too confused to slap him. Beside her, Karasu Uchiha had adopted his crow form, seized the Nadaime, and reached the other duo. I can see the skies, the hybrid said. Higher. When they finally exited the cloud of smoke, it was to get a vision from hell itself. They were above a town, more precisely, its remains. The ruins were burning, and strange birds of clay continuously dive-bombed the fleeing ninjas on the ground, exploding upon contact. Haku recognized the shape of the place, and blanched in horror. Kumogakure. The hell? Karasu groaned, as he noticed gigantic dragons of clay floating above them. People with slashed forehead protectors were riding the creatures, throwing jutsu and bombs to the ground underneath. That's Deidara's C2. And what's that? Chibaku pointed at an ominous shadow, as it passed over the group. Haku had never seen something like that. It was a gigantic balloon, easily the size of a small village. It was colored red, flying near the clouds, and equipped with loudspeakers underneath it. A zeppelin, Kubaiko told them, sounding astonished. It's a flying transport carrier. I've seen one or two during my travels, but how the hell did it pass through a breach? Iwagakure called me a Kaikazan, the red volcano. A powerful noise resonated through the airs. You sheep call me a terrorist, an anarchist. I prefer to call myself a visionary. The song came from the zeppelin above, and the voice was quite masculine. Deidara, Karasu hissed. First lesson. Order is slavery. Your land is the land of the don't, of the you can't, of the it's forbidden. For your government, you're just names on papers, shackled with chains as meaningless as tradition, ethics, and laws. Second lesson. Chaos is freedom. It is the land of the you can, and the do as you please. Without order, you can be individuals. You are freed from society's limitations. And you kneel before no one but yourself. A cheerful laugh resonated through the airs. Congratulations for today's show, boys and girls. We're truly the eruption that shall burn the old world, so a new one can be reborn. We are a modern-day Ragnarok. Much to Haku's horror, the madman proceeded to announce further violence. Who burned down Iwa? That was us. Who incinerated Suna? That was us. We're the children of chaos, and it is craving for blood. Next step, the lair of the tyrant, Konoha. Let's go kill Danzo. The tree will see us coming, but we're gonna burn it to its deepest roots. Our art will prevail. Chaos will prevail. To the leaf. Is it me, or do we run into psychos all the freaking time? Shibaku deadpan. Is it my godlike charisma that attracts them or something?
Naruto.
She was the first to cross the portal. How couldn't she? It was Kazama's homeworld, the place he abandoned behind him, preferring to travel to save people like her and Kitsune instead. The girl wanted to see for herself what kind of planet had made him sick enough to deem it beyond his attention, and focus on others. Naruto briefly shuddered, upon remembering Kabuto's dirty book, and imagining Kazama and Izanami no Makoto doing these terrible things. After Sasuke revealed her identity, the woman had decided denying it was a waste of time. Naruto had been astonished to learn the gentle, motherly Uchiha woman who had so kindly taken the blonde under her roof for a time could be the same person as this embarrassing woman, before realizing anything in the multiverse was possible. Yugito had had a similar reaction, but decided the woman's identity was unimportant. She kept the mask on, however. The first thing Naruto saw was the remains of a bridge. A ravaged forest was surrounding her, full of craters. Is it? She heard Sasuke whisper, as he stepped next to her. Where it all began. Where it all began, Kazama confirmed, the last one to cross the border between worlds. It brings back memories. It feels like my showdown with Orochimaru happened years ago. Inari whistled as he looked around, impressed and not at all disturbed by the sight. I remember this fight. You definitely topped me in damage here, and I made a double crater and a Bijudama in it. Well done. Well done indeed. Conan looked at the speaker curiously. You remember this fight? The addressed continued to look around curiously. Yeah, up until this event Kazama's and my histories were pretty similar. Nearly identical really. I was still an obnoxious idiot at the time and went on in the timeline as expected. Well, that is until a little after I fought Pain, which is when I lost, of course. As for Kazama, well, you know the story by now. The paper woman's eyes widened momentarily. You fought Pain. Don't remind me. He's still one of the hardest guys I've ever faced one-on-one, or six-on-one, or whatever. Inari shamelessly admitted, still looking around at the damage. A word of advice. If you want a better chance of getting him to realize how messed up he is, remind him of Ero Sennin's first book and what he and Yahiko used to believe in. Of what they originally used to hope for. It might not work now considering what we've heard, but it's worth a shot, and I don't think Kazama is good at those kinds of speeches. Jiraiya Sensei's first book and what he used to believe in. The blue-haired woman's rippled eyes softened as she momentarily lost herself in her memories. You left quite the mark on the scenery, Yugito pointed out to Kazama, glancing at the craters and damage done to the bridge. I had the Kyuubi back then, and Orochimaru is no pushover. As non-existent as his morality was, I have to admit that he was one of the strongest ninja I've ever fought. The blonde groaned. No matter. He observed the gathered individuals, and Naruto imitated him. Naruto and I will lead the party going to the Tailed Beast Temple, while Sasuke, having the most contacts here, is the best fit to lead the investigation on Akatsuki. The Amekage crossed his arms. Yugito, you're coming with me, as you're the only one with the knowledge of the temple's location and how to access it. Inari, due to your knowledge of the procedure, you come as well. May, you come with us too. Sasuke told me you were the Mizukage here, and being seen in public might cause trouble. He glanced at the second half of the team. Izanami, you're going with us first, to learn the location of the temple, then you shall go with Sasuke. Due to your traveling abilities, this would allow us to relay information efficiently between the two groups. The woman did not seem happy with the arrangement, yet kept her cool and briefly nodded. Conan, due to your abilities, you are exceptional at information gathering, so you will join Sasuke. However, I will neither talk to Pain nor engage him without the entire team's backup and a coordinate strategy, she cut in. I can keep my cool, thanks. Just checking. Dark Wolf, since you stand out so much, you will come with me as well. In Naruto's opinion, it was less due to her aspect and more for the desire to separate the swordswoman from Sasuke. The second he had formed a Chidori, she had tackled the Uchiha to the ground, and unsheathed her blade to behead him. The teen only had his life saved by Kazama's timely interposition. If the Uchiha's expression was to be believed, he was thankful for the separation as well. Now, Yugito, I need you to picture yourself at the temple, Kazama told her, placing a hand on her shoulder. Picture it in your mind as precisely as you can. The woman closed her eyes, and soon, a breach in space materialized, Naruto's group stepping through it, while Konan and Sasuke stayed behind. To the blonde girl's eyes, the scenery suddenly changed, being replaced by a green groove and large, crystalline falls. So beautiful, she noted. I see no temple, the Dark Wolf pointed out with a stoic tone. It is past the falls, Inari replied. However, the first part of the training involves meditating before the waterfall on that tiny island there. You underwent it too, Yugito frowned. Yeah, but I use a different method to work with the Kyuubi now, so I don't have full control yet. Inari shrugged. But it takes more time and we're in a hurry. Strange, May whispered. For a world about to collapse, I do not see any outstanding phenomena. Kazama pointed a finger toward the sky, and Naruto followed it. At first, she noticed nothing disturbing, until she saw it. High above, the clouds seemed distorted, circling around a precise area. After channeling chakra through her eyes, Naruto noticed a long, thin black line in their middle. What is it? A breach the size of Konoha, her mentor explained, making her shudder. It's growing. After a few days, it will be large enough to allow a moon or worse, a planet, to go through. And then we will have a big rock falling on us, the feral Gale deadpanned. Then a big boom. Personally, I hope it's a planet. The moon's been done too many times already. How can I master the essence quickly? Kazama asked Yugito. You have to sit before the waterfall, she explained. After a short period of meditation, you shall enter a trance and reach the deepest level of your subconscious, the place where the truths one hides from the world's slumber. You will face your darkness here, and if you triumph, you should gain a greater level of control over your abilities. I live with my darkness every day, it shouldn't be hard to confront it. The teen sat before the waterfall, closed his eyes, and fell silent. It might take some time, Yugito noted. I suggest we build camp in the meantime. She glanced at Izanami. Will you lend us a hand? Sure, I'll stay a bit before leaving, the masked woman shrugged. Naruto briefly sensed she was being watched and turned around. The Dark Wolf was observing her silently, with her shining, icy blue eyes. It was slightly creepy. Do I have something on my face, Wolf-san? No, the samurai fell silent for an instant. It is strange to see oneself. What I used to be. You had my personality once. Naruto raised an eyebrow. You're different, yes. I guess you did not stay in your homeworld long enough to see the man who changed my life. The elder woman frowned slightly. I heard you had become a fine ninja. I can't compare to you, Mei-san, Izanami-san or Yugito, she said, the different women perking up upon hearing their names dropped. You're all so much better kunoichi than I am. I admire your strength. I look up to you as role models. I am not a kunoichi. I never had any talent in any shinobi skill, so when my first master came, the path of the sword was a revelation to me. She crossed her arms. You should try it. Kenjutsu, the art of the blade, is the perfect counter to ninjas. I was told the Ido could be used to attack the opponent before he could do hand seals, Yugito pointed out, joining the conversation. Although I did not recognize the style you used against the Raikage. I created the Shadow Dragon myself, the samurai replied. Being ambidextrous, wielding two blades allows me to maximize my offense and kill the opponent before he strikes back. It reminds me of the silent killing the seven swordsmen developed in Kiri, May noted. Inflicting lethal damage, hidden in the mist. This is a coward's way out, the dark wolf scorned. A true warrior looks down upon trickery as the tool of the weak. This is the tool of the survivor, Izanami replied. If you fight without honor, you shall live without honor, the dark wolf shot back. Better die in a blaze of glory doing your duty than living as a coward. But then you're dead like roasted chicken. With no seasoning or spices. The horror. Inari shouted in mock fear, the samurai doing her best to ignore him. Holy crap, I can talk about chickens without fearing for my life again. I saw you picked up a sword, Yugito-san. The black warrior glanced at her blade. I could teach you, if you like, after you find new, better clothes. It would be a pleasure, but I first need to teach Naruto about mastering her Biju. Yugito briefly blushed, being reminded her current clothes weren't exactly appropriate to her size. Wait, if you do not have whiskers. I am the Kyuubi's prison. The admission surprised the group. However, the process is different from yours. My seal keep it entirely sealed. I do not draw any chakra from it, and I never experienced any mutation. As long as I live, it shall not be reborn into the world. Naruto wondered what kind of hardships she must have faced. Kurama's help had been the one reason why she had survived for so long. Being kept away from it, just as Naruto was for the moment, was troubling. She didn't have the courage to tell Yugito the truth. I see, the Nibi's container blinked briefly. By the way, I wanted to ask you. What does, blood for the blood god, mean? This is a prayer to Hachiman, god of war and the patron of the samurai. He is also known as Korn by some cultures. The act of fighting and shedding the blood of the enemy is sacred in his eyes. The samurai shrugged, as May adopted a distasteful expression. Who am I to question the will of gods? Don't you know of the kami? I was never deeply religious, Yugito shrugged, searching in her traveling bag. Kakashi did receive an artifact from some dog god, but light was coming out of her bag. Frowning, the Nibi's vessel brought out a golden dog collar, the source of the illumination. What's da? The collar shined, brighter than the sun. Then Yugito and the rest of the group were suddenly thrown backward by a shockwave, awfully similar to Susanoo's Shinra Tensei. The ground started to shake, and the Nibi's Jinchuriki could only watch, as the collar floated above the group, radiating with pure power. What's happening? May voiced their thoughts. Naruto saw it. A being of light, pure chakra, purer than even the Bijus. It used the collar as an anchor to this world, forming a body around it. Soon, the creature was fully manifested in its holy glory. She had seen it on mural paintings in temples, and on tombs near Konoha's graveyard. How nice of a Nagami to have provided me with this anchor to the human world. The Shinigami touched the collar around its neck as it finished materializing. It is mediocre, but enough to exact punishment upon the wicked. Its eyes, adopting the appearance of the Rinnegan, glared at the meditating Kazama. The deity seized its long sword, and prepared to strike the blonde down with it.
Die? Kazama.
When he opened his eyes once more, it was to face blood. He briefly felt dread and fear at that instant, before regaining control of his senses and enough reason to glance at his surroundings. It was still a groove. There was still a waterfall. There was still a sky. Yet, it was different. Oppressive. The skies had turned purple, and the clouds were gone, leaving only perfect, heavenly purity. The plants had turned into lifeless steel. And the water had been replaced by fluid blood. Is this my soul? Kazama glared at the waterfall. In spite of the new substance, he could see his reflection. Which wasn't a reflection. So you came, a blonde teen spoke, stepping out of the falls of blood. His face belonged to Naruto Uzumaki, but this one was proudly wearing Konoha's headband and the clothes Jiraiya had given him during his travels. It was the individual Kazama once used to be. I was waiting for you. Are you my darkness? He was nothing like he expected it to be. What the hell are you? I am the light, your light, buried in darkness, drowned in despair, I rise again. The illusion smiled kindly. You can call me Hikari Naruto. Ninja stats.
Haku.
Ninjutsu, A rank. Taijutsu, C rank. Genjutsu, C rank. Armed combat, A rank. Defensive techniques, A rank. Battle strategy, A rank. Special skill, Hyoten, A rank. Special skill, Hazuka Hidden Jutsu, A rank. Mei Terumi. Ninjutsu, S rank. Taijutsu, B rank. Genjutsu, B rank. Armed combat, S rank. Defensive techniques, C rank. Battle strategy, A rank. Special skill, Lava Release, A rank. Special skill, Boil Release, A rank. Kubaiko Nadaime Hokage. Ninjutsu, S rank. Taijutsu, S rank. Genjutsu, B rank. Armed combat, B rank. Defensive techniques, S rank. Battle strategy, A rank. Special skill, Time manipulation, S rank.
Sasuke Uchiha.
Ninjutsu, S rank. Taijutsu, B rank. Genjutsu, A rank. Armed combat, B rank. Defensive techniques, C rank. Battle strategy, A rank. Special skill, Mangekyo Sharingan, S rank. Special skill, Cursed Seal of Heaven, A rank. Main cast so you can keep track of them. Heroes. Kazama Original Anti-Hero Naruto Naruto Female. Naruto Chibaku Puppeteer. Naruto Sasuke Uchiha. Kubaiko Tobirama Senju Fem. Haku, Yugito ni, Izanami Fem. Tobi Dark Wolf Samurai. Naruko Mei Terumi, Rinnegan. Conan, Inari Feral Gale Cameo. Villains. Tsukiyomi Madara Uchiha Tikoku Interworld Akatsuki, Sound Nin, Sound. Naruto, Sir Naruto, Jester Naruto, Joker. Naruto.
Chapter 43.
The name is Death. Are you certain the chakra comes from this place? Chibaku asked, observing the barren mountain. It looks like a pile of rocks to me. I could pinpoint a person from the other side of the hemisphere, if I've a decent grasp of his chakra signature, Kubaiko stated serenely, his palm touching the ground. Vajra is there. His chakra is very weak, yes, but he's there deep under the earth. There must be some kind of complex built inside. They probably remodeled the caves. Haku narrowed her eyes. Enemies. Beside Vajra, I noticed two sources of chakra, Jinchuriki. Which demon, I cannot say for sure. I do not have enough knowledge of their frequency to differentiate between them, and their respective seals are messing with my senses. The Nadaime joined his fingers, focusing. With luck, we will be able to avoid them. The fact that their enemies had at least 2 demon vessels in their employ was alarming, yet Chibaku was strangely peaceful. He had survived far worse. Surely he could beat up yet another Jinchuriki. Even if for one reason or another they were holding the old fox. The cyborg was disturbed by the silence. Hey, I just called you old. No reply. Leave me alone. I'm not in the mood for a sarcasm duel. Oh, that's strange. What happened? Remember Naruko's luck at poker? The Kyuubi groaned. Her 9 tails has received some of it as well. Before there could be further questioning, the ninja was snapped out of his thoughts by Haku's soft hand on his arm. Nodding, the living puppet followed the rest of his group, as they raced toward the mountain, entering in the nearest cave. As expected, the inside had been occupied. While the corridors were made of stone, candles had been added to them to brighten the darkness. Doors had been built, and metal melted to the walls to build rooms. Behind this one, Tobirama warned them, as Haku stepped forward. Opening the door, the snow woman found herself in front of a familiar face. Blue eyes, blonde hair. Haku blanched, instinctively putting herself on guard. Alpha, she gasped, the Nadaime and Chibaku sharing the same reaction, until they realized the madwoman wasn't moving. What happened to them? Kubaiko asked, worried and confused. Silently, the puppeteer pushed his friend to the side, and approached. It was Alpha, wearing the same white robes. Her visage was trapped in a terrified expression, her back against a wall. 3 was standing at her side, immobile and sharing the same situation. Chibaku sensed no life in the 2 women, and a close examination confirmed his suspicions. Taxidermy. As the rest of the group blinked, the puppeteer showed them the sewing traces on the clone's neck. Someone stuffed them. How the hell did these 2 end up? The clown did it. Deidara thought they would be better as masterpieces than allies. The voice caught the group off guard before they turned to the source at their left. A man was sitting in a chair, restrained by chains and seals. His eyes shined slightly in the dark, conveying a slight sense of surprise. You do not seem to work for Deidara. Are you some of Danzo's cronies? Kakuzu of the waterfall, Kubaiko snorted. S-rank missing nin. And the richest man in the world. Do not forget that. The man chuckled. Look, my situation speaks for itself. Free me and I will help in any you wish, treasury, loans, bounty hunting. The seals here negate my chakra and prevent me from doing anything. Which is why we did not sense him. Chibaku crossed his arms. How'd someone like you end up there? I was offered a job for a shitload of money. It was good until I got transferred under Deidara. When I mentioned money ruled the world, not art, he didn't respond well. What happened to these 2? Haku glanced at Alpha and 3. And how did they end up into this world in the first place? Oh, you're from another planet too. The deadpan admission made the team blink. You must be this group of travelers they were keeping an eye on. Group of, Karasu blanched, getting the picture. They know we exist. The Tikoku has been investigating us. These 2 confronted members of your group, and were interrogated. Deidara promised them help in retaking their homeworld so long as they provided their full cooperation. As you can guess, when they outlived their usefulness and told him everything he wanted to hear, they learned the hard way the bomber's word doesn't mean shit. This is worrying, Kubaiko noted. We need to get Vajra and inform the rest of our team. The Uchiha, Kakuzu shrugged and glanced in a dark corner of the room. You're too late. It was at this moment Chibaku noticed the blood on the ground. Haku put her hands over her mouth in horror, and Karasu clenched his fists. Tobarama approached the source of the liquid, an open, festering wound. Chibaku couldn't tell if this was Madara Uchiha or not. The man was closer to a red smear on the ground than anything else. His captors had removed his lungs, stomach, and most of his spine, replacing them with black sharpened rods. The flesh was cut to the bones, whose composition was metallic instead of organic. Oh no, the Senju touched the mangled corpse. No, this can't be, they murdered you. I don't know what they wanted to learn from him, but they were ready to go at all lengths to get it. Kakuzu snorted. I guess they got tired of his silence. The former Hokage clenched his fists in rage. Haku put her hand over his shoulder in an attempt to comfort the old man, but he pushed it away and glanced at the corpse. There is a trace of his chakra left. Perhaps we can. He's dead, dude, Chibaku whispered coolly. We better destroy the corpse or move it elsewhere. No, there has to be a way. Tobarama snapped angrily. If I put him in stasis. You can't undo that kind of wounds, Chibaku pointed out. Face it, he's dead and we can't do a thing about it. If he stays there, they'll probably dissect him or worse. Haku winced at the harsh words. Chibaku, you should be. We don't have time for diplomacy, the puppeteer cut in. Who knows if this isn't a trap? If the guards won't return soon. They're patrolling out there. Who knows when they will return to watch out their prisoner? The Nadaime Hokage visibly hesitated, until cold pragmatism won out. He glanced one last time at his old comrade. Sorry, Kubaiko whispered with anguish, surrounding the corpse with a stasis field. If I had been faster, at the very least, I won't let them defile your remains any longer. The flesh turned to dust, revealing the metal underneath, which started crumbling, along with the seal. Time was accelerated in this area, causing the body to vanish. He was like me, the puppeteer guessed. More machine than man. Yes, Tobirama nodded. He extensively enhanced his body in order to overcome his old age, which is probably how he managed to hack into nearby computers, and why he held so long. Deidara will pay, Karasu promised ominously. Kakuzu chuckled. I can help you to find him. In fact, I will be glad to do so, if you free me. I could trade my information against my freedom. Interested? Chibaku glanced at the Nadaime, who nodded. Alright, the Hokage said, moving on to disarm the seals. However, at the first sign of treachery, you're dead. I'm already pissed beyond words. I'm greedy, not crazy, and a deal is a deal. With the seals gone, Kakuzu managed to shatter the chains on his own. I really need to rebuild my supply of hearts. We should get out before Deidara's men locate us. Haku was the first to reach the door. Hurry. The group silently walked into the rocky corridors, refusing to utter a word. Chibaku glanced one last time at Alpha's corpse, briefly hesitating to mourn her, before deciding she had her death coming. When they were near the exit, a noise made them pause. I'm telling you, the shouting almost caused the puppeteer a cardiac crisis. My chaos sorcerer put him under control. This is a perfectly valid rule. The group froze on place, and the Nadaime pointed a finger at a door on his left. The two guards, he whispered. Better avoid them. Haku frowned. I never forget a chakra signature, Haku. The relay is our priority, but when Deidara and it are gone, I will track them down personally and put their heads on a pike. The words had been uttered without any change in the Hokage's tone. He was simply stating a fact. Let's go. The group stealthily continued to advance, until the second guard was heard. Moron. A familiar voice shouted in anger. That's not how it works. My Dark Eldar has protection against psychic powers thanks to the artifact. He cannot be affected by your Thousand Suns unit. Karasu stopped in the middle of the corridor, surprising Chibaku. The robot silently signaled him to hurry and get away, noticing the boy's angered face 1 second too late. These words, it's him, the Uchiha hissed, activating his Sharingan. The sound Naruto. Karasu, don't do what I think you're about to. The Uchiha shattered the walls with a chakra-enhanced punch. Chibaku found himself staring at two Naruto Uzumaki, both sitting around a table, playing with painted figurines. Patrolling, my ass, the puppeteer thought grimly, as he observed his two doubles. One was dressed like a red jester, the other wearing a gray uniform and Otogaku's headband. Both glanced at Chibaku and Karasu, then at each other, finally jumping on their feet. Intruders alert. Black lines started covering the sound Naruto's skin. Exterminate. You assholes. The jester seized a spiked mace. I was about to win. Chibaku allowed himself a final snark to Karasu. Thank you very much. That was very discreet. The hell, my light. Kazama groaned. How stupid of you to think I would believe this shit. This is the truth, and your self-denial will change nothing. Hikari Naruto let his fingers touch the bloody lake. This place is your soul, see for yourself what it has become. A haven of corruption and darkness. I was supposed to face my darkness. Why? Darkness is the dark fantasies and wishes one hides from the world, and you embraced them with open arms. You do not repress them anymore. You're living them. What you imprison deep inside your heart is me, the compassion. The forgiveness. Love. I love others. I love Izanami. I love my family. I love my friends. Kazama glared at the illusion. You're a fake. You used to love Sakura once. The illusion ignored him superbly. Jiraiya too. Uruka, Chuki. Only for them to betray me. Kazama snarled. They were never my friends. How can you be so sure? What evidence do you have besides Madara's words? You believe a liar. Hikari Naruto shook his head. You cling blindly to your hate and paranoia, as Amatsu Mikabashi and Madara want you to. How can you discard your old life so easily? Because it makes me feel better, he stated flatly. My old life was a lie. What I earned as Kazama Arashi is real. It is meaningful. Even if part of your old life was a lie, what makes you think your old bonds were fake? Shikamaru was ready to die for you. Didn't Tsunade stand in front of you to protect you from Orochimaru? Didn't Jiraiya teach you the Rasengan and summoning? They're either co-workers, or they betrayed me eventually. I trusted them, I worked hard to impress them, and they stabbed me in the back. He growled. The other versions of me, they have been so much more. Chibaku, and, even the pervert. They're stronger at 12 than I ever was at 15. Jiraiya, Tsunade, all of them were holding me back. Preventing me from claiming my rightful place in this world. Rightful place. I was the son of the Yondaime Hokage and the last Uzumaki. I was sacrificed at birth without my consent. I never asked for this, and I was treated like a dog. Kazama glared at his reflection. All I ever wanted was acknowledgement. I just wanted them to like me, to be treated like anybody else. And yet, I was always alone. Until this power freed me of that life. The village may have rejected you, but others gladly acknowledged you. Don't you remember Konohamaru, Sakura? Konohamaru, he did not come to help me when I called. A true friend would have. I would have answered if he had called. In the end, he didn't love me. Same with Sakura. Haven't you considered they be might incapacitated or dead? Or that Amatsu Mikabashi didn't let them come to better manipulate your feelings? Surely Sakura. Enough with Sakura, Kazama snapped angrily. She never understood me. Not once. I struggled so hard to keep her safe, to keep my promise to her. And when I was at the hospital, never once did she try to comfort me. Never once did she ask me if I was alright, if I had been crippled. No, all she cared about was Sasuke. I was nothing but a tool for her. Nothing. He glared at his reflection in the blood. Can you understand the pain I felt? I realized, what a fool I had been. To think anyone would ever come close to liking me. And then I met my family. My world. Now I have the life I always wanted. I've everything I always desired in this new existence of mine. Then why are you trying to destroy the old one? Because I will never be free so long as it haunts me. Kazama seized his head. Why am I even saying this? You're nothing but a fake. An illusion I have to overcome. Then, the power to remake this world, the power I crave shall be mine. No, I am Naruto Uzumaki. I could be Naruto Uzumaki if I wanted to. Then prove it, Hikari Naruto replied. Take off your mask. You fool, Kazama seized his helmet. I'm going to. The helmet refused to move. The teen tried harder, and failed. It refused to budge. What have you done to me? I can't take this mask off. It isn't a mask, this is your real face. You simply decided to show it to the world, Kazama Arashi. Hikari Naruto snorted. You know what? You're pathetic. I won't let an illusion. Everything comes down to the fact you just can't come to term your insecurities. You have to blame someone for your misery. Anyone. Yes, your life wasn't perfect, but you can't accept it just happened. No, you have to blame everyone for intentionally ruining your life, that the entire world is out to get you. It all comes down to your wounded ego.
Shut up.
This armor is how you are in the inside. You keep wearing it convinced it's protecting you from everything. That it makes you look tough. That somehow by being some frightening dictator in control of everything, you can fix things and make them right. And what is wrong with that? The voice came from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Someone has to do it. You can do it. Mikabashi, Kazama hissed. You are here too. I am always with you. Do not listen to this liar. It is a mere remnant of your old life. An impurity that refuses to be erased as its taint should be. It is trying to make you doubt yourself, your actions. Yes, because you would love to see him run blindly in the direction you have pointed him. The light embodiment glanced at Kazama. You do not have to pursue that path. You can leave the past behind you. You can cease to crave a power that is beyond your understanding. You can drop this poisonous hate. Why? It is healthy to hate. Is it not easier to see those who wronged you gone forever? Forgiving them means they will abuse you once more. Why ignore a problem when you can wipe it out? With the power you can gain, people will fear and acknowledge you. It won't make people love you, Hikari Naruto replied. If you forgive others, they will love you. Cease to condemn everyone. This thing is manipulating you. Lies. Come to me, and the darkness shall welcome you, Kazama Arashi. I will protect and shield you from pain. Why should you try to earn people's love, when you can force them to adore you?
Silence.
The outburst caused the different tempters to shut up. I'm sick of your words, Kazama growled. I'm neither of you. I don't want either of you. Yes you do. You want to join me, but you are incomplete. Flawed. I have the means to perfect you. The blood's reflection twisted. Kazama glanced at images pictured with perfect clarity. His family was fighting a powerful enemy in the middle of a forest, an opponent he recognized to his dreadful realization. The Shinigami has come to reclaim his power, and your family is fighting to protect you. Amatsu Mikabashi paused, as Kazama tightened his fists. I can give you the power to drive it back.
How?
Destroy your weakness and become pure. The voice paused. Kill this fake light. Drown him in his own blood. There is another choice. As long as you live, you and your loved ones shall never be left alone. Hikari Naruto mimicked a gutting motion. If you sacrifice yourself, they will be safe. I choose. Kazama gritted his teeth, reaching a decision. My own path.
Haku.
Instinctively, Haku turned herself into steel-hard ice, an action that saved her life when a powerful explosion propelled her through multiple walls of rock. 2 seconds later, she was facing the light of the sun, crashing into the soil outside the mountain. 2 other objects suffered the same treatment, landing at her side as she regained a human form. Chibaku groaned while rising up, and Karasu was hissing with rage. His body had been shielded by purple ribs. The Susanoo armor. The snow woman trailed off, shaping her own armor of ice over her skin. I'm going to kill him. Karasu snarled, his Mangekyo Sharingan activated. The pupil's shape was similar to 3 kunai in the center of a red circle. As the trio rose up prepared to fight, their opponent landed 10 meters in front of them, his skin covered with black lines. I would like to see that moron. The alternate Naruto Uzumaki growled. Your pretty eye won't save you from an ass whipping. No, you won't escape from mine. A knight of purple light materialized around Karasu, wielding a long blade. I will crush you for killing Kuretsuchi, bastard. Kuretsuchi, the sound nin raised an eyebrow, genuinely confused. Which one? The answer actually caused the Uchiha to pause. What do you mean by which one? I've killed, like, 4 Kuretsuchi. 5 if a male version counts. You gotta be a little more specific. The ninja snorted. Look, moron, the day I killed your girlfriend was perhaps the worst day of your life, but for me, it was Tuesday. The answer made Karasu grow angrier. It was a Monday, you murderous asshole. The Susanoo swung its blade and lowered it down, cutting the ground in half. The sound nin dodged at incredible speed, standing unharmed 1 foot to the sword's left side. I see our last fight didn't teach you how wide the gap between us. A volley of explosive kunai detonated within an inch of the criminal's face, covering him with smoke and dust. Chibaku snorted, upon noticing Haku's surprised gaze. What? He was asking for it. Oh yeah, an animal growl and the noise of flipping wings caught their attention, as the dust was blown away, revealing a monster. Now I'm pissed off. Curse seal level 2. Behold my beautiful body, morons. The enemy they had in front of them had a humanoid shape, and had retained his gray uniform, but that was it. Gone were the pale skin, blonde hair, and blue eyes. The creature was covered with a black exoskeleton, similarly to an insect's. His eyes were pupilless, having turned entirely yellow. Beautiful blue wings had grown from his back, tearing the shirt apart. All in all, the sound nin had become a cross between a human and a butterfly. Ha. Chibaku couldn't repress a laugh at the silliness of the scene. What are you, Mothman? A fist hit his face, bending the steel and sending him to roll to the side. Haku instantly attempted to crush the attacker with a water technique, only to be punched in the chest before she could complete the seal sequence. Her ice armor took most of the blow, saving her internal organs. Karasu roared and attempted to cut the sound nin in half, only for the hybrid to vanish in a blink of an eye. I tire of this. Behold my perfect form. Curse seal. Level 3. The creature's chakra manifested as a sick crimson aura, and his body mutated into a horrific creature. His fingers became claws, his teeth, fangs. His size was multiplied by 3 or 4, his face turned more bestial. A tail grew from his back, ripping apart what little clothes he had kept. The sound Naruto was a beast, and his cruel eyes glared at his opponents with predatory hunger. He opened his maw. Haku's ice armor exploded, as powerful vibrations ravaged its structure. Karasu's Susanoo crumbled into shapeless chakra, unable to resist the sonic attack. The blast tossed the duo 20 meters backwards with sheer power alone. The Snow Woman's ears felt intense pain, causing a terrible headache. Her Uchiha teammate was barely better, holding his head between his hands and laying helpless on the ground. I'm so loud you wanna die. Go forth and amplify. Here comes the sonic blast. The sound Naruto stopped shouting and chuckled. Best battle cry, ever. Nothing is better. Another voice completed the rhyme, as half the mountain crumbled. Tobirama Senju was thrown above the clouds, and a giant walked out of the former edifice. The jester Naruto had grown to immense size, easily as big as a Biju. Akamichi's hidden jutsu. Big bad fat ass. That's not the right name, moron. The sound Naruto snarled at his partner. I like this one better. The giant raised a mace the size of a small tower. Let the game begin. Wanna try human baseball? Oh yes. The sound Naruto knocked away the explosive kunai Chibaku tossed in his direction, before closing the gap between the puppeteer and him faster than Haku's eyes could follow. The robot attempted to fly away, yet unfortunately both his legs were caught and crushed by the monster's palms. The hybrid rotated on himself, and propelled his prey toward the jester Naruto at the speed of a cannonball. Incoming. I got it. Skull Kisser. The clown raised his mace to intercept the cyborg. Kiss skull. Black thread swirled around Chibaku midair and brought him to the ground. The mace missed him barely, and the jester almost lost his balance. Kakuzu caught the puppeteer, while the sound Naruto sneered derisively. Geez, I guess second time's the charm. A water dragon hit him in the face, tossing him to his back. Alright, Tobirama Senju stepped in front of Haku. He had lost his armor, and was left wearing only a blue shirt and black pants. I wanted to keep you for last, but if you insist, I can roll with it. Moron, an old codger like you will never take me down. The sound Naruto charged, moving faster than the wind. I'm as fast as the yellow flash. Tobirama punched his face so hard more than 2 bloodied fangs shattered with the blow. The sheer power of the strike turned the sound Naruto into a projectile, which hit the jester Naruto's nose, much to his surprise. I'm faster, the Nadaime replied calmly. You wanna see death? The jester Naruto raised his mace, his previous smirk twisted into a vicious sneer. Here I come. Water release. The Nadaime completed a 20 seals long sequence in less than 3 seconds and inhaled sharply, 1000 water dragon. Haku blinked. Thusa. Kubaiko opened his mouth and released an ocean. It was no exaggeration. Never before had Haku seen so much water produced by a single jutsu. Hundreds and hundreds of water dragons materialized, each and every one of them powerful enough to destroy a small house, and they were launched at the jester. Oh fu. The 1000 projectiles impacted on his body with a loud noise, and his back met the mountain. Tell me again. Kakuzu stepped to Haku's side, holding both Chibaku and Karasu with his treads. Why are you considered inferior to your brother? They're not dead, the Nadaime whispered, as the dust dissipated. To their surprise, the sound Naruto floated in the sky, the jester Naruto sitting on his back, having been forced to return to his normal size. Damn it, he's strong, the clown loudly complained, his clothes as wet as a fish, only Deidara-senpai or Orochimaru Dono could beat that guy. I got to admit it, he's out of our league. Retreat. The sound Naruto flew at the speed of the sound, hoping to get away. You aren't going anywhere. The Nadaime completed new seals, which Haku imitated. Water release. Water dragon. Both mentor and student shouted at the same time. The sound Naruto skillfully dodged the attacks, dive bombed in their direction, and forced them to split up. He avoided hitting the ground, and the jester Naruto caught Chibaku. I got one. Accelerate. No, Haku shouted, as Kakuzu's treads tore under the strain. The two water users of the group attempted to hit them, without avail. They're too far away, Kakuzu noted, as the three Naruto vanished in the horizon. This is useless. Damn it, Haku cursed, before glaring at Idiot. If you hadn't foolishly attacked, none of this would have happened. Now Chibaku may be killed, or worse. She glanced one last time in the trio's direction, anger and fear overtaking her heart. Damn it. Sorry, the Uchiha apologized genuinely. I just couldn't help. We will find him, Kubaiko promised, comforting Haku. I promise we will rescue him. I will track his chakra and... Lady, gentlemen, and old codgers who have had their faces carved into the sides of mountains, Kakuzu cut in, we've got a new problem. The group instantly put itself on guard, as multiple ninjas shunshined into their immediate surroundings. They was an entire squadron masked Anbu, wielding tanto and katana. Identify yourself. The smallest of them, a young man wearing a dragon mask, shouted. His blonde hair and voice were quite familiar. Who are you? Raise your hands and drop your weapons. There is no reason this has to be difficult. Sorry, just got done being imprisoned for days, not gonna happen again, Kakuzu retorted defiantly. If his tone was to be believed, he considered the Anbu as mere cannon fodder. The ANBU's captain prepared to seize his blade.
Enough.
The Anbu released his weapon. He and his comrades stepped back, letting an old man approach. Haku instantly recognized him, not due to the Hokage's robes he was wearing, but because she had seen his face in Kiri's bingo book. One closed eye and a few black hair, the rest of his face covered by bandages. The elderly shinobi was one-handed, and seemingly too frail to walk without a cane, but the kunoichi was not fooled by the illusion of weakness. This chakra, it cannot be. His lone eye widened in genuine surprise. Tobarama-sensei. Danzo, Kubaiko sighed. Why am I not surprised?
Naruto.
The Dark Wolf reacted first, unsheathing her blades and stopping the Shinigami's katana. The strength of the blow forced the samurai back, but she refused to let the weapon run its course. Step aside, the deity ordered, sounding slightly surprised the warrior managed to parry. I said. Twin tails of blue flames and a Rasengan hit its face, propelling the deity backwards far into the forest. Adopting a tailed beast form, Yugito growled. What the hell is going on? So we have a genuine god on our hands this time. Oh goody. Inari narrowed his eyes, created multiple shadow clones without lifting a finger and had them disappear in the woods the following second. He didn't bother to notice the looks of skepticism the others were giving him due to his change of tone, which had become far more commanding. Dark Wolf, May, you protect Kazama until he wakes up. If the god's after him, it'll come back. The rest of you with me. And what do you suggest doing? Naruto asked, completely lost. What's happening? My guess is that the Shinigami wants the power Kazama stole back, otherwise it would have gone for the rest of us when it appeared. To be honest, the guys back home were a bit surprised that it didn't happen already when you first arrived in my multiverse, Inari elaborated, charging into the forest without wasting a word. Izanami, Yugito and Naruto jumped after him in pursuit. Much to the blonde girl's astonishment, the feral Gale's eyes started changing, gaining an amphibian nature. Izanami mused. I did hear that you were quite knowledgeable when it came to gods. Do you happen to have any game-changing info, little Inari? He said the collar was his medium, so there's a good chance that if we destroy that he'll be forced out of our realm. It's not uncommon for those upstairs to require something like that to manifest physically in our worlds. A ninja Mei and I fought. Hidan used a technique to call the demonic deity Jashin in a similar way the Yondaime used the dead demon consuming seal, Yugito pointed out. It devoured its summoner's life force and vanished when it was extinguished, having lost its anchor to the material world. A medium only needs to have a strong connection to a deity in some way. Inari nodded. Being a person or an inanimate object only affects how much juice the god can manifest here and the requirements dictating how long they can stay. Items like the collar need to be kept physically intact, but they tend to break due to overexposure to the god's power after a while. Especially if the item's theme doesn't match up to the god's. Which means either we must wait until it runs out of power or breaks the collar by itself, which might take hours, or we destroy the collar, Izanami whispered. Someone must attract its attention while the others sneak up on it. My favorite pastime. Stay close, the feral gale snapped, as a cloud of yellow smoke progressed toward them, swallowing the forest. Again without any seals, the young boy manipulated the air around him instantly and split the cloud to either side of the group to give them safe passage. It also allowed them to see what would have happened had they come into contact with the gas. The trees and plants touched by the miasma were instantly dried, crumbling into dust. The Shinigami stood in the center of a circle of dead vegetation, glaring down at its opponents. The eyes betrayed no emotion, and it was absolutely clear to Naruto the creature considered the group a minor stepping stone at best. My business is with the Darkspawn and the Darkspawn alone, it warned with a deep, raspy voice. There is no need for you to die. Step aside and you shall be spared. Sorry Shinigami-sama, but the guy is a friend of ours, Inari replied, adopting a non-threatening stance. Once the cloud fully dissipated, Izanami grabbed Naruto and teleported with her a dozen meters behind the Shinigami, waiting for an opportunity while its attention was occupied by Yugito and the feral gale. Look, I know you must be pissed for accidentally losing a sliver of your power to a mortal, but in his defense Kazama never asked for it in the first place. If you ask nicely, I'm sure he will give it back to you, without having to kill him, maybe. You're not very convincing, Yugito grumbled. He will not. Worshippers of Amatsu Mikabashi never surrender the power they claim. They grow addicted to it after a time. The deity snorted at Inari. You have no idea what is at stake here, do you? More than you'd think, but I'm pretty sure you're going to explain anyways for everyone else here regardless. The deity narrowed its glowing eyes. Your soul is different, it belongs to another deity. What are you? An invader? A visitor? Speak or be doomed. Hey, there's no need to be snappy. I'm just an emissary lost on the road of life, Inari replied casually, raising his hands in mock surrender, before leering at the transformed Kunoichi next to him. Besides, Naruto and Yugito were the ones that blasted you here, not me. Whose side are you on? The Kumo shinobi yelled at him disbelievingly. An emissary? Whose? Explain. The visiting Naruto shrugged as if not being stared down by a mildly irritated god. Believe it or not, this little issue of yours has bled into my mutiverse as well. The higher-ups sent me here to keep an eye on things and just make sure that what happened really was an accident, investigate everything, and help resolve the issue. Obviously they didn't come themselves because that would just cause everyone a whole mess of other problems that nobody wants to deal with. You don't have to worry about any sort of invasion. The gods in charge of my mutiverse aren't interested in conquest or the like. They find it boring really. Regardless, from what I know of Kazama's experiences, the fact that you're directly involving yourself only just now is a bit concerning given the nature and severity of the situation. Please calm down and explain what's happening. I doubt that either of us would prefer a meaningless confrontation. The god growled slightly before its stance relaxed very slightly. Obviously it saw the merit in talking to the unwanted visitor even if it didn't like it. The darkspawn you are protecting is worshipping Amatsu Mikabashi, the deity of the void and the biggest threat our pantheon has to face on a consistent basis. The essence that it stole from me is surely being corrupted as we speak to serve its foul purposes. The breaches are caused by your comrade's interference, and he will not stop there. The power he stole, the power of a creation deity, combined with Amatsu Mikabashi's own abilities, will allow the Dark God to reshape our entire reality. This must not happen. The cycle of creation, but you're the god of death. Your realm of influence isn't a part of this unless you're shit. Inari narrowed his eyes. Life and death are two sides of the same coin. If one controls one can affect the other.
Yes, the Shinigami acknowledged. With my power, Amatsu Mikabashi can corrupt the cycle of life and death that governs our entire realm. It will achieve dominion over all souls, alive or dead, and decay into nothingness any aspect of reality it desires gone. I see. He lamely shrugged without bothering to look at the deity. Pretty bad. Then you know what must be done. The god concluded, neither confirming nor denying the boy's suspicions. No, as it stands I believe that things have not reached a dire enough stage that would warrant Kazama's execution. Inari countered calmly. I may be wrong, but besides some, a lot of emotional issues, I do not believe he's as bad as you say. He probably does need a solid ass kicking and a shrink to help him deal with them, but he isn't past the event horizon yet. As far as I know, he does not worship an evil deity or whatever. The order to eliminate him has been approved by our ruling deities, and we shall solve our problems ourselves, the death god snapped. Step aside, stranger, and you and your gods shall be left alone. This is your last warning. Inari clicked his teeth in irritation. The ruling gods authorize this. You've got to be kidding me. Alright, you win. I'm going to step aside now. Naruto and Izanami reacted at the signal, the first forming a Rasenari, the second attempted a sword strike. Both aimed for the collar, hoping to destroy it in one attack. Fine, if this is your wish, I shall crush you. The death god rotated, hitting both girls with a swift, quick motion of its unarmed hand. Naruto felt the heat and warmth of her body being absorbed by the brief contact, and the two kunoichi crashed to the ground. Shit, its contact negated my intangibility, Izanami grunted before seizing Naruto and leaping away to dodge the Shinigami's katana. Still, I expected to be helpless after a direct contact. I guess it is minimizing use of its power. The deity's counterattack would have continued further, however before it could pursue its closest targets it quickly moved its blade to block an even larger blade made out of solid wind chakra complete with Inari on its end with his hands clasped together. You have made a foolish mistake, envoy. Death Incarnate stated as the chakra blade began to weaken and fade as its influence took hold, causing the fabrication to crack and shatter within seconds. And force the shrapnel-like energy to fly right in the direction of the god's head and neck. The surprise attack did momentarily catch the god slightly off guard, however only a few scratches were made on the collar before its free hand moved in the way to protect it. What few pieces made it past the god continued on to assault the landscape and cut through virtually everything in their path, starting up miniature gales of wind in the process. I tend to make a lot of them, the feral gale grumbled knowingly before he was stabbed almost instantly with the god's sword, only to disappear in a cloud of smoke. Moments later an army of blade-wielding Inari clones appeared from all around the god and attempted to cut off the collar in the same way the previous iteration had failed. Unfortunately the god would not be fooled a second time. It effortlessly parried all the oncoming blades, knocking the weapons away and giving the Shinigami the perfect opening to tear apart the clones wielding them. Izanami didn't wait for another opening as she teleported right to the back of the god's neck with her sword drawn and the collar in her sights. However, it yielded no fruit as the god somehow responded to her presence and parried her sword slash with its katana in the next second. The Uchiha landed to the ground and attempted to destroy the necklace with a powerful fireball, but the death god lazily dodged in the next instant. You are attempting to stall me until I run out of power, am I correct? The Shinigami noted, casually avoiding its opponent's attacks. Fools. The souls feeding me come from the pure world itself. You would be surprised how many are ready to sacrifice their afterlife to see the darkspawn gone. I could fight you for months. Yeah right. Naruto yelled as she threw some exploding kunai. You're using the Inagami's collar to stay here and you're not a dog spirit. We know it'll break by itself eventually. The death god knocked away the kunai with its free hand, nullifying the explosives before they were set off. They fell harmlessly to the ground, and the deity continued its advance. Eventually as a vague word to a timeless being. I will see my task done. Your resistance is futile. Yugito, give me some heat. The original Inari commanded, wasting no time as he breathed in deeply next to the Nibi's container. Not bothering to question his decision, the former Kumo shinobi mimicked his motions. Both Jinchuriki unleashed their respective elements in absurd quantities at the same time. Meshing together perfectly, the two techniques combined into a concentrated blue twisting inferno that swallowed the Shinigami whole. Izanami and Naruto, observing from the sidelines, couldn't help but show some surprise at the new technique while putting in some effort to prevent from getting burned despite the distance they had from it. Even from where they were standing, it was hard to ignore the intense heat the twister was giving off. If we melt the collar, maybe we can. Yugito's words were interrupted as a large thin blade tore through the blue inferno straight towards its sources and forced both Jinchuriki to jump away in opposite directions. Neither of them bothered to pay attention to the dozens of trees behind them that had been felled in the process. Standing in the middle of the trail of scorched earth and ashes that extended far past it, the Shinigami seemed to be unharmed. In fact, the only thing that appeared to be different about him was that its collar was now glowing white-hot. Your attacks should have been rapidly negated on contact with me. You can resist my influence. The god of death, who apparently did not care in the slightest about being temporarily stuck in an inferno, glared at Inari, who was busy making a new set of seals, displaying the first real emotion since it had appeared. I can barely stagnate the effects at best, and it's not like you're trying in the first place. Lazy-ass god, Inari muttered under his breath before finishing the last seal. Wind release. War scars. Without further warning, all the air within 5 meters of the god erupted into blades and tore apart everything within its reach in a blur of relentless chaos. Just as quickly as the attack manifested, it had stopped less than a second later. However, the Shinigami was left untouched, as was the earth within a foot of its person. Figures. His influence didn't stop at just his body. Looks like only stronger techniques can get through after all. The wind manipulator sighed, clearly not expecting the jutsu to work in the first place. Before the Shinigami could attack the feral gale, its attention was drawn to the slew of fireballs and water projectiles that were barreling down on it from several angles. Stick to long range for now and keep it pinned. It is too dangerous up close. Yugito shouted as she blasted off great fireballs one after another, aiding in the carpet bombing of the death deity. How the heck are we supposed to cut off the collar like that though? Naruto asked out loud as she unleashed just as many water bullets. From where she was, she could easily tell that the attacks were doing nothing save for forcing the god to move at a far slower rate, weaving in between the projectiles with unnatural ease. Through the chaos, fire, and water, Izanami teleported rapidly and erratically with her sword drawn. Using the attacks and destruction as a cover, the woman closed the distance between herself and the god until she was right behind him. And then quickly teleported to the side as its fist swung through the area she had just been in a hair of a second beforehand. Said hand had to move less than an instant later in order to avoid a fireball. The woman had reappeared to the god's left for a short time, however she once more warped space as its blade stabbed what would have been where her head was. The blade flashed away as a large ball of water nearly hammered its side. The weapon would not have been damaged, but it would have put the god slightly off balance, which was unacceptable. He's too fast, Izanami muttered as she teleported again to try and get behind the god, only to barely escape a vicious backhand and phase through a fireball. I can't get anywhere like this. Nor will you, the Shinigami stated calmly, seemingly tired of simply dodging, and spun around while swinging its sword, creating a large shockwave in all directions that blew away the attacks and Izanami with ease. The savage winds would have continued on to destroy the nearby vegetation and the attackers. However, just before it reached the targets, the savage winds had all stopped and disappeared at once. God of death or not, wind's my gimmick. From the perspective of every human on the ground, it had appeared as if dozens of tremendous pillars of air the size of small buildings had relentlessly crashed down on the deity from the heavens and blasted away everything in the area that had not been in its direct path. The consecutive blows were strong enough that the island turtle they were on shook and moaned in protest, lengthening the duration that the ground rumbled. Thankfully, the three females there were far enough away to not get caught up in the chaos, however they still had to make an effort to dodge all the kicked up debris. Overkill anyone, Izanami stated in half annoyance and half amusement just as she finished phasing through the last of the debris. We're dealing with a deity. If anything, it wasn't enough, Yugito growled, having decided to knock away the wooden dirt with her demonic body. A little warning wouldn't have hurt though. He has bigger attacks, but we would have been caught up in them if he used them, Naruto admitted, having to dodge everything that came her way, remembering seeing the Rasenshuriken in action. Wait, why does the air feel heavier? It was at that moment that the three females realized that the air around them seemed to have gained weight and power. None of them missed that there seemed to be active chakra flowing through it and was progressively moving faster. Back up and pay attention, damn it. Inari shouted darkly as his hands blurred, finishing roughly 30 seals in 4 seconds while using the kicked up air below him to chain into his next technique. Maelstrom of the Wind God. Heaven's Path. Maelstrom of the what now? Izanami blinked before the kicked-up winds from the sage's previous attack suddenly spun into overdrive around the just as distracted Shinigami and formed a very large and violent twister that rapidly extended upwards to engulf the caster and into the sky. Holy cow! Is he trying to kill us? Yugito yelled as she backed up as fast as she could despite the monstrous winds trying to pull her and the others into the massive vortex. She barely paid attention to the trees and plants that were being torn from the ground nearby into the tremendous funnel. How the hell is this supposed to help destroy the collar? I don't know. I'm having trouble just keeping my eyes open. Naruto shouted, not bothering to try and get away from the twister and instead focusing on sticking to the ground with all 4 of her limbs. Wait, what the hell is that? Yugito and Izanami looked up to see that the part of the twister that Inari had been in was bloating rapidly and taking on a bright hue through the folds of kicked-up dust. The bulge continued to grow and grow until it was roughly twice the width of the twister itself, which stretched around it like a rubber tube. And then it began to fall. Izanami's eyes widened with realization as the ball dropped, literally. The tornado wasn't for attacking. It was to keep the Shinigami in one spot. Yugito's eyes widened. You mean that giant thing is a Rasengan? The twister was torn apart from the inside to reveal the Shinigami blocking the largest Rasengan any of the women had ever seen with its sword single-handedly. The raw backlash from the clashing forces was more than enough to cause the women to stumble, as they had to switch from not being sucked into not being blown away. Futile, the god stated plainly as its free hand slowly reached out to the ball, which was already beginning to shrink due to its influence. Regardless of how much you try, it is pointless to try overcoming death. Because the deity was directly beneath the giant ball, however, it did not see the small smirk growing on the feral Gale's face. Atlas. The unnatural sense of vertigo that the 3 females momentarily experienced was nothing compared to what the deity went through as it stopped whatever it was about to do with its free hand and instantly made it support its buckling sword to prevent itself from being crushed. The destructive force of the giant Rasengan had been magnified exponentially with the additional mass of all the air in a 5-kilometer radius pushing down on it. Toughly 330 billion kilograms of dead mass. Give or take. Another trick? The god of death lazily asked in genuine surprise as it focused on the task at hand. Naruto could only look around confused as the ground beneath the god shattered and caved in beneath its feet. The land itself rumbled violently. Izanami. What the hell are you waiting for? Inari roared from the top of the still shrinking ball. The Uchiha's eyes widened as she realized that Inari had intentionally been using massive technique after technique just to set up this exact scenario. A scenario where both of the god's hands were occupied and it could not move even if it wanted to. Right. She nodded as she instantly warped behind the god with her sword drawn, ready to deal the final blow. I have had enough of toying with you. Naruto was too far away to experience its effects, but she felt the power anyway. A surge of absolute coldness raced through her bones, a primal, instinctive fear overtaking her heart. In between the kicked-up clouds of dust, she could see the air itself stagnate and turn yellow. Izanami, being ringed next to the god, took the phenomena point blank and as such screamed in pain as her body died in every way possible, only to regenerate and repeat the process. Inari on the other hand was losing ground fast as his ball seemed to shrink rapidly and swamp of the underworld. With a sickening wet sound, the death god and Inari shot down into the suddenly not solid ground and disappeared from sight, much to Naruto's and Yugito's surprise. Moments later another Inari appeared from the ground nearby and quickly grabbed Izanagi before carrying her to the others. Well, that went south fast, he grunted irritably, not paying attention to the small shaking underneath him. I'm going to get such shit karma for putting the turtle through all of this. Having a death god so close to its organs can't be healthy. How the heck did you get here when we just saw you do all of that up there? Naruto shouted bewildered while looking at Izanami and trying to think of anything she could in order to help. Her body was rotting and regenerating at the same time. The experience was undoubtedly extremely painful. Rule 1 of abusing clones: always have an extra on standby to switch with. Inari carefully laid Izanagi on the ground. Rule 12 of Sage Mode: clones are a lot stronger with Sage Chakra. He briefly chuckled to himself. Hey, I just used a move called Swamp of the Underworld on the God of Death. Don't you dare go idiot on us now. Yugito snapped as she tore off some of her comrade's useless clothing so that it would not get in the way of her recovery or brush against her reappearing wounds. What are we supposed to do? The feral Gale was about to say something before he paused and looked in the direction they came from. We stall for time. Kazama just woke you. His eyes widened. Shit, the Shinigami is coming back. Inari changed. His eyes lost the pigmentation around them, but gained a vertical slit in addition to its horizontal one while changing to a dark burnt orange hue. 3 solid tails with fur that matched his eyes emerged from his backside the same time that 2 ears of similar coloring appeared on his head. What the hell? Yugito grunted as she and Naruto were hit with a massive wave of chakra that floored them both. The air itself was supersaturated with power and whipped around eagerly as if it was part of the blonde in front of them. Demon Sage Mode. 3 tails. The feral Gale cracked his neck lazily. He clapped his hands together as if praying, and countless bubbles of chakra appeared all around him. Dark red, clear blue, dark green, bright yellow. The 4 colors hovered around him ominously as he smirked and slowly began to pull apart his hands. The action seemed to act like a vacuum as all the chakra balls were pulled to the space at rapid speed, spinning and condensing into a growing glowing ball of raw power with 4 black blades spinning around the edges. That's like my plasma breath, Yugito whispered as she realized that the boy was fusing not only demonic and elemental chakra together, but also adding sage chakra, and shape to it as well, evident by the telltale rotational pattern of Rasengan she was seeing. How he was able to fuse so many different concepts and energies, let alone in human form, was beyond her as she had enough trouble fusing her elements to demonic chakra. Masen, I have lost enough time with you, the Shinigami's voice echoed. Feel the power of decay. Then it happened. Without warning, a ghost-like arm shot out of the ground and latched onto Inari's head with no remorse, instantly dispelling whatever monstrous technique he was about to use. Not stopping there, the God of Death rose from where it had sunk into the earth and retracted its arm, dragging the helpless sage with it. Naruto felt her stomach growl in disgust at the spectacle. The feral Gale's flesh melted into black and sick rot. His screams froze everyone in place as the intense pain forced him to thrash wildly to escape. Tell your gods never to interfere with our affairs, ever again, the Shinigami whispered calmly, as its aura intensified briefly, melting half of the feral Gale's jaw in the process. We shall close the gates to your home and leave it undisturbed, but the next unauthorized intrusion will result in dire consequences. Farewell. A yellow glow surrounded Inari, and he vanished in a blinding flash. Then the Shinigami glanced down at the withering Izanami before somehow teleporting right next to her. Without even paying attention or looking, it backhanded Yugito with its free hand, almost instantly draining her of her Biju's power, and launched her unconscious body deep into the woods. I see, once more you humans mess with the cycle of life. Your miserable existence has come to end. The death god's palm approached the Uchiha's visage, the woman powerless to protect herself. Embrace the freedom of Da. A water dragon deflected the hand. True, it was mostly a distraction, yet it had the desired effect. The Shinigami glanced at Naruto, chilling her to the bone. You desire to be the first to go. Summoning a dozen shadow clones, Naruto had them produce a water dragon each. This would cut her reserves by half, and hopefully push the Shinigami away from Izanami, at least enough for the Kunoichi to approach safely, grab her partner, and flee. Or, more unlikely, hit the collar. This is useless, the Shinigami pointed out, protecting itself with its arms. You cannot overcome death itself. A flail of wind hit the deity in the face, the shock powerful enough to make it step back. Naruto. Kazama's voice renewed the girl's confidence, as the armored warrior leapt at her side. Mei and the Dark Wolf were backing him up, the latter carrying the unconscious Yugito with one hand, and a katana with the other. Are you Auri? It was at this moment he noticed Izanami. The resulting killing intent Naruto's mentor produced was almost as oppressive as Madara's at his worst. It was downright painful to be nearby. Naruto, prepare your imperial water tide, her mentor commanded. Mei, Dark Wolf, burn it to ashes. Both women stepped forward. Mei Terumi unleashed a barrage of magma at the deity, and the dark wolf raised her blade. Fire swirled around it and progressed forward, a tornado of flames. The inferno covered the death god, surprising it. As long as the collar is present, this is useless, Naruto warned, forming her imperial water tide. I do not want to beat it. I want to reduce its field of vision. Kazama summoned 24 shadow clones, who dispersed around the Shinigami. Uzumaki fishnet. Dozens of blue chakra chains, projected by the clones, swirled around the death god, restraining it. Taken by surprise, the creature hissed as its arms were forcefully extended, leaving the collar unprotected. With a roar, the deity attempted to free itself physically, the chakra chains quickly vanishing, yet it wasn't fast enough to respond to the more dire threat coming right in front of it. Imperial water tide. Naruto shouted, launching the sphere of water at the Shinigami's neck. The death god barely had the time to blink before it impacted on the golden, melting collar. The intense release of water tossed the Shinigami to its back and destroyed Kazama's clones. One managed to grab Izanami and run away, as a miniature lake grew exponentially, forcing the group to leap into the last untouched trees. The golden collar cracked due to a combination of the brutal change in temperature and the aftershock of the attack, shattering into a dozen pieces. The death god dissipated into yellow smoke, although it did not appear bothered in the slightest. You are delaying the inevitable, the Shinigami calmly threatened with absolute confidence, as it completely vanished. Next time, I shall take you seriously. Mark my words, I shall return. When the deity was completely gone, Kazama rushed at Izanami's side, taking her in his arms. The wounds, they're not healing. Guess I will need a medic for once, the Uchiha smirked sadly. But, I can take it. You idiot, you could have died. The blonde snapped, more out of worry than anger. Don't ever try something like that again. He glared at Naruto. That goes for you as well. The girl sulked slightly, ready to retort they did not have a choice in the matter, but she put herself on guard instead. A masked man and a strange creature with a two-colored face walked forward. Well, Madara whispered calmly, you wanted a medic. I brought one. Believe me, Zetsu will patch you up in no time. The warlord. There was something beautiful in seeing people fighting to the death. The spectacle of warriors clinging to their life and hopes, when the universe couldn't give a damn, it was inspiring. The warlord had not always enjoyed death and war. It was only after conquering his own world and learning how boring it was that he uncovered his true calling. The discovery of the multiverse had left him with so many opportunities to indulge in his quest for perpetual enjoyment, and he was grateful for whatever force had caused it. He had spent much of his resources to learn the truth behind the breaches, so he could properly thank his unknown benefactors. And here he had found them, fighting a god, and winning. A feat he had struggled to pull off. Wonderful, the conqueror whispered in awe, as he watched the world travelers frantically trying to cure their wounded. Marvelous. Simply marvelous. We've got one hell of an opportunity, Obito Uchiha pointed out, his lone Sharingan watching the scene from a distance. He glanced sideways at the masked man. And we are not the only ones with an interest in them. This chakra, Madara Uchiha, the warlord smiled, remembering his last battle with the powerful madman. Smashing his head with a Rasengan had been a wonderful experience. Yes, so many powerful ninjas, who aren't that different from us. They will never join us, Obito lazily pointed out. You would be surprised. The warlord glanced at this, Kazama Arashi, this, dark wolf, Zetsu wanted to kill so badly, and the rest of their group. They could be so easy to recruit with the right offer. When the time comes, I will meet their leaders. Then you will see just how good I am at diplomacy. He would not take no for an answer. Chibaku. It was a disturbing experience, to be completely and utterly helpless. Especially since it was the third time he had been captured within 6 months. The puppeteer couldn't move. He didn't control his limbs. He was imprisoned inside his own body. How long will your shadow control hold? The sound Naruto asked his partner, sitting in a piggy ride position on the mutant's back. It would be nice if he didn't shoot me mid-flight. Ah, don't be a baby. The jester Naruto grinned wickedly. My shadow art will keep him immobile as long as I wish. Art? That's just a stolen Nara technique, moron. The sound Naruto shrugged. Then again, what didn't you steal from the leaf? Oh come on, it's not my fault if they wasted their potential. Someone had to create beauty out of the junk. Like how you stuffed Alpha and 3. Chibaku carefully considered his options. He doubted the Nara technique would prevent him from activating his body's hidden compartments, or the emergency jetpack, allowing him to escape. Drop it. It's our only chance of learning where the relay is located. The Kyuubi snorted. At worst, I can take over. I will manage. Remind me to crush the vocal cords next time, the sound Naruto told his partner. Brute. The clown grinned at Chibaku. The pressure holding the puppeteer's head lessened, allowing the owner to move it. Horrified by my work. Nah, I'm a fan of taxidermy too. Human puppets were awesome. I'm more surprised than disturbed. Why did you kill them? And how did they manage to pull it off so easily? Alpha should have sensed the betrayal coming. The jester Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Deidara decided it on a whim. The brief, intense despair their face betrayed when they realized what idea crossed Senpai's mind. This is true expressionism. Why do I run into sadists all the freaking time? And Vajra. Oh, that. A nice work of art, don't you think? If only I had the time to finish it. The clown chuckled. It was mercy. He had no further use, and Deidara Senpai said since you were coming, it was better for him to die than fall into the hands of. Stop talking or I drop you and watch the results, the sound Naruto snapped. The moron is trying to sweet talk you into revealing info. It was an attempt at small talk, thanks. Chibaku glanced at the ground. They were above a desert of rocks, probably in the border countries between earth and wind. Fine, I will shut up. When Deidara gets his hands on you, smartass, I can guarantee you will learn to respect your betters. The sound Naruto grunted as the Zeppelin was in sight, floating near a giant structure. Here we are. Chibaku watched the relay in silence. The structure could be mistaken for a red torii, those portals of oriental temples, except this one was the size of a small mountain and glowing with a crimson aura. I maintain the argument that orange would be a better color, the jester Naruto mocked, his partner groaning. The trio landed calmly on the ground, although Chibaku was quickly dragged to the ground by the sound Naruto's strong claws. Guys! The jester Naruto shouted to a group of ninjas wearing red clothes. We're back. You look like hell. A man snickered. What happened? Got into trouble with Danzo's goons. And what's that? A doll. Kinda. Tell Deidara Senpai we brought him a new toy. Stats. Karasu Uchiha. Ninjutsu. A rank. Taijutsu. B rank. Genjutsu. S rank. Armed combat. C rank. Defensive techniques. A rank. Battle strategy. C rank. Special skill. Mangekyo Sharingan. S rank. Special skill. Nine Tails Chakra. S rank. Special skill. Crow techniques. A rank. The Dark Wolf Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Ninjutsu. D rank. Taijutsu. S rank. Genjutsu. D rank. Armed combat. S rank. Defensive techniques. B rank. Battle strategy. B rank. Special skill. Sealed Nine Tails. Unavailable. Special skill. Cursed weapons. A rank. Inari Feral Gale Naruto Uzumaki. Ninjutsu. S rank. Taijutsu. A rank. Genjutsu. C rank. Armed combat. A rank. Defensive techniques. S rank. Battle strategy. A rank. Special skill. Sage mode. S rank. Special skill. Chakra synergy. S rank. Special skill. Nine Tails Chakra. A rank due to the Kyuubi limiting access to its power. Jester Naruto, Sir Naruto, Naruto Uzumaki. Ninjutsu. S rank. Taijutsu. A rank. Genjutsu. D rank. Armed combat. A rank. Defensive techniques. D rank. Battle strategy. C rank. Special skill. Nine Tails Chakra. S rank. Sound Naruto, Naruto Uzumaki. Ninjutsu. A rank. Taijutsu. S rank. Genjutsu. D rank. Armed combat. B rank. Defensive techniques. B rank. Battle strategy. C rank. Special skill. Curse Seal of Rebirth. S rank. Special skill. Nine Tails Chakra. S rank. Special skill. Enhanced Body. A rank. 2453. Chapter 44. Chaos Unleashed. Main cast so you can keep track of them. Heroes. Kazama Original Anti-Hero Naruto Naruto Female. Naruto Chibaku Puppeteer. Naruto Sasuke Uchiha Kubaiko Tobarama Senju Fem. Haku Yugito ni Izanami Fem. Tobi, Dark Wolf, Samurai. Naruto, Mei Terumi, Karasu, Uchiha. Naruto, Rinnegan. Conan, Kakuzu. Villains: Tsukiyomi, Madara, Uchiha, Tikoku, Interworld, Akatsuki, Deidara, Sound Nin, Sound. Naruto, Sir Naruto, Jester Naruto, Joker. Naruto. They're divided in two worlds. Kazama's homeworld. Kazama, Naruto, Sasuke, Yugito, Izanami, Dark Wolf, Mei, Conan, Madara. Godime, Danzo, Chibaku, Haku, Kubaiko, Karasu, Kakuzu, Deidara's gang. Chapter 44. Chaos Unleashed. This Deidara was nothing like Chibaku imagined he would be. A blonde man barely reaching 20, the mad bomber was resting lazily on a chair watching the endless desert in front of him peacefully, smelling a blue rose with one hand and drinking a soda with the other. He was wearing a black trench coat, and a ring on his finger. Chibaku briefly found it familiar, but couldn't find the reason why. Deidara Senpai. The jester Naruto dropped Chibaku in front of his superior. We brought you a gift. The anarchist briefly glanced down at the cyborg, then at his student. The sound Naruto had adopted a human shape once more, both him and his partner covered with bruises. He seems to have been a tough guy to subdue, the destroyer of nations noted. Nope, he wasn't, but his squad leader was a pain in the ass, metaphorically speaking, his Kahai replied. Too strong for us, but I'm sure you're going to wipe the floor with him, boss. Doc. Deidara shouted to a random man. We've got 2 wounded. He glanced once more at the 2 villainous Naruto. You should take a better care of yourselves, boys. Leave the robot to me and go take a rest. I'm loath to overwork you. We're ready to die for the greater glory of Tikoku, Deidara Dono, the sound Naruto complained politely. We don't need. Baka, Deidara Senpai told you to get cured, and so you will, the clown cut in, grabbing his partner by the shoulder and dragging him away forcefully. As Chibaku felt his restraints vanishing, the jester having released his binding technique. Deidara offered him his drink. Thirsty, Chibaku-kun. I don't need water. Sorry, the puppeteer froze. Wait, how did you know my name? People talk, the bomber replied coolly, whether they want or not. Don't be so alarmed. If I wanted to kill you, you would be nothing but scraps already. For now I think we can just speak as fellow artists. I've worked with a Sasori once upon a time. The revelation caused Chibaku to pause. You don't mind if I repair my legs? He asked, unsure. Sure, go ahead. Deidara snorted lazily. Moments later the puppeteer opened a scroll containing spare limbs. The fact the bomber allowed him to repair himself spoke volume about how little he considered the cyborg a threat. I expected you to be different. My Sasori was fond of adding scorpion motifs to his creations. I expected at least a tail of some sort. I don't see him nearby, Chibaku grunted upon replacing his crushed legs with new, fresh ones. He's dead. His granny broke him in half back when I was working with Akatsuki. Bad times. The anarchist snorted. You must have many questions. I thought I was the one being interrogated. Oh come on pal, the fact my men abducted you does not mean you're a prisoner. Consider yourself a guest, or an ambassador on a diplomatic trip. Whatever pleases you the most. The terrorist's grin grew wider. Go ahead. Ask away. Why did you kill Alpha and 3? He asked hastily. Why kill Vajra? Why? The first 2 were tyrants, and embodied everything I stand against. Deidara drank the rest of his soda. They robbed people of the supreme gift of free will and wanted to control everything. I felt like killing them after they mentioned their intent of repeating their old mistakes, and I never regretted this decision. You promised to help them. Promises only bind those who believe in them, and I do not, Deidara countered without hesitation but still maintaining his lazy demeanor. As for the Uchiha, it was that or the warlord would get his claws on him. In that case, he would have wished for death. Since he wasn't needed anymore, I had the excuse to spare him this fate. The terrorist shrugged his shoulders. Tikoku is an alliance of 10 criminals, power brokers, god wannabes and emperors. The warlord is the one who first discovered the rifts and proposed us this arrangement to all of us. Unfortunately, he's also completely insane. Says the guy who bombed an entire city. I lost count after 200, Deidara admitted serenely, unashamed of his atrocities. I've been called insane, but I consider myself the sanest man in the world. I don't bomb places for the sake of blowing them up. I blow cities up so the citizens can be free from those who try to chain them. The warlord randomly killed all life on a planet because he wanted to see if he could. The chilling image of a devastated planet planted itself in the puppeteer's mind. How the hell is blowing up cities going to free anyone? The chaos you bring is nothing but a swallowing pit. Anarchy. Chaos isn't a pit, Deidara countered. Chaos is a ladder. Rules, laws, traditions, they're chains binding individuals. Chaos is the essence of life. A world free of any restriction, of any ethic, of any limit. Chaos allows artists to express their craft without fearing censorship. It allows people to decide what they want to do instead of being commanded to. It's a world where one can do as he pleases. Anarchy is not the same. It means, without leader, not, without order. I aim to destroy order itself. It's savage. There's freedom and there's lawlessness. What is the value of laws? They're just words on a sheet of paper, a lie we tell each other again and again until we start believing in it. Deidara smiled. Do you know what human life and roses have in common? They both got thorns. Somehow, the whole discussion had slid into a debate. No, they're short, beautiful, senseless. Roses remind me all the time life is too short to waste on obeying any rule. Deidara glanced at the blue skies, lost in his memories. When I was working with Akatsuki, I had been tasked to capture the Four-Tails Jinchuriki, someone I had known far less than I originally thought. It was a spectacular failure, with the creature unleashing an eruption during our fight. A city had the bad luck of being nearby. It was pretty populated, with monuments oozing arrogance, and their laws, their government, their prayers, did nothing to shield them from the destruction. In the end, only a few remained, yet, they were free from these illusions. I realized that day that there was a design greater than blowing buildings up, giving everyone else the means to do it too. If you were with Akatsuki, weren't you supposed to catch the Biju? Chibaku asked, glancing at the jester Naruto. Oh, I was, until I blew up Pain and Toby from up above. Deidara threw his rose away. Naruto Kahai was imprisoned in an asylum after he killed a girl called Sakura Haruno for saying bad things about him while he was disguised as Sasuke Uchiha. Since I couldn't let people be kept against their will, I released him, and he followed me ever since. I like to consider him a little brother, although he is a bit too nihilistic for his own good. Much to the puppeteer's brief horror, he noticed the similarities between the jester's story and his own. It was quite chilling to realize if Deidara had been the one to find him instead of Sasori, he could have started bombing cities too. I see. Why are you telling me this? Why not? The artist sneered derisively. Don't lie, I'm pretty sure you know what Tikoku is. It works in reverse too. We know about your little traveling guild and the mayhem you left in your wake. I don't think we're that different, really. Beside both our groups being a ragtag bunch of dimensional travelers, I fail to see what we have in common. Was he suggesting an alliance? Deidara's smile did not falter. Your party leader is a totalitarian despot with a serious case of narcissism and one hell of a god complex. He reminds me of my old boss Pain, to be honest. You and your mentor kill people and turn them into puppets. Your group includes an unstable child murderer, a psychotic war criminal in black armor, and that's the members we've compiled dossiers on. I've no idea about the rest, but your membership is barely better than ours. Chibaku shrugged. If the man intended to lecture him, it was foolish. He wasn't the first person to try pointing out similarities in an attempt at psychological warfare. I don't give a shit about who my teammates may be or what they did, as long as you keep practicing your art. Deidara finished for him. You can keep doing it with us too. I'm pretty sure you and my Kahai would get along fine, in fact. It's not like either one of you shies away from messing with the corpses of your enemies. Look, why can't our groups work together? The only real difference is the scale of our operations. If you want to expand your collection, we've the means to do so. Chibaku briefly pondered the proposal, before reaching a conclusion. No, he responded honestly, guessing lying would probably get him killed anyway. The terrorist leader raised an eyebrow, genuinely surprised. Obviously, he had expected a different answer. Why, may I ask? Because beside the fact my friends will never work with a serial destroyer of civilizations like you, my personal ideology clashes with yours. Chibaku snorted. Your art is incompatible with mine. I aim to become immortal, for true art is everlasting. Deidara laughed. A cheerful, genuine laugh. He calmed himself after a short while. Tell me, the bomber smirked, do you remember the Sage of the Six Paths, true name? The name of the empires that ruled the earth 4,000 years ago. The puppeteer did not have the answers, obviously. I don't see. In time, everything turns to dust, my friend, be it gods are the greatest achievements of man. That is the one primordial truth. Did your teacher achieve immortality? No, he did not. Will your work exist forever? No, don't you see? Life is but a brief light in the dark, and it vanishes as fast as it was lit up. Everything is allowed, nothing is forbidden, and no one is everlasting. True art is a bang. Deidara pointed a finger at the desert. Sunagakur stood there once. They fought like madmen, but I blew up their city anyway. Monuments that endured 100 years were destroyed within seconds. The dreams of thousands were drowned in ashes and sand. Your sterile art will turn to dust too. He rose from his chair and touched his ring. Can you guess what this is? As the puppeteer shook his head, the war criminal continued his explanations. This is a gift from the warlord. Short story, this is a portable key for opening rifts at will, and only individuals with potent chakra can hope to use it well. The relay here is more or less a king-sized version. The ring can transport a zeppelin here, but it is nowhere near enough for my masterpiece. The ring released a flash of red light, and next thing Chibaku knew, he was atop a building, while it was night. He glanced around and saw a city of gray towers. Where are we? My world, Deidara explained. Ninjas here have declined. Hidden villages hide from the world, selling their skills as underground assassins while civilians turn to technology to solve their problems. They invented things like cars and telegraph, while other worlds stick to chakra and messenger doves. Finally, they invented this. He pointed a finger at the sky. Look above you. Chibaku did as he was told, and his heart stopped beating briefly. It wasn't night. The sun was simply being shadowed. I've a fleet of 20 zeppelins and 200 airships in standby beyond the relay. Once it will be opened, I will make my greatest masterpiece out of Danzo's empire. Deidara glanced at the horrified Chibaku. Go to your friends, and ask them, why do they bother fighting us? Kazama. The Dark One. This, Zetsu, was truly astonishing. In a few seconds, he had built an entire mansion out of nothing, as Yamato did once upon a time. The wood release had shaped the walls, tables, chairs, and the very room Kazama, Naruto, and the Dark Wolf were waiting in. However, the samurai wasn't happy about it if her glaring at the door behind which Zetsu was working was any indication. We should have killed him, she hissed. This creature is up to no good. This isn't the Zetsu you fought, Kazama pointed out, although he inwardly shared the same worries. Yours was world-destroying monster. This one seems to be Madara's lackey and nothing else. He should have found a better one, the samurai replied with anger, as Naruto sulked in a corner. After a time, Mei Terumi opened the door and Yugito-ni closed it behind her, causing Kazama to lock eyes with the latter. She was bruised, pale, yet better off than Izanami. So, her life is not in danger, she explained, much to everyone's relief. Zetsu is confident he can fix her, in his own words. However, Kazama ground his teeth, Mei adopting a serious expression and continuing. Whatever the Shinigami did to her cancelled her healing factor, the Kiri-nin explained. Part of her flesh rotted, which means she will undergo extreme surgery. Zetsu says he can save her, but he needs to be left alone. Can't I be at her side? Kazama asked, hopeful. Will she be crippled? Zetsu is shy, Mei decided after a short pondering. He does not want to be disturbed by foreign presence. He believes if the surgery work, she will be perfectly fine, in the best case. The Amekage clenched his fists, hating feeling powerless to help. Yugito gently put her hand over his shoulder. I know this is hard, but you cannot do more, she said. We have to trust Zetsu, as difficult as it is. This is my fault if she's like that, he replied, shrugging off her hand. The Shinigami is after its power. It's because of me your lives were put in danger. I've learned, much to my detriment, sometimes bad things can happen to those you love due to your own actions, but blaming yourself is pointless. Terumi smiled, putting her hands on her hips. She's going to live, Kazama. We're safe for now. That's all that matters. Be optimistic. Thanks, the Amekage said, although he was barely half convinced. His mood slightly improved when Madara teleported right in front of them alongside Sasuke, Konan, and a chained old man. He was somewhere in his 70s, his body covered with white robes and bandages. He lacked a right arm and eye. Kazama glanced at him briefly, but Conan was faster. We have good and bad news, she said, briefly glaring at Tsukiyomi. Begin with the bad, Kazama frowned. Zetsu is a member of Akatsuki, as you probably guessed, Madara explained. He briefed me on the current events. Pain captured the 8 tails. Which means he has all Biju except the 9 tails, Sasuke pointed out. Kazama frowned. This was bad. How many Akatsuki members does he have left in his employ? None. That was one of the good news. Conan interlaced her fingers. Sasuke killed Deidara and Itachi. Hidan and Kakuzu were beaten and killed during a battle with Konoha's ninjas. Sasori was dead before you even left this world, and Kisame died from the wounds he received while capturing the 8 Tails Jinchuriki. My counterpart apparently sacrificed herself to bring the demon vessel to Pain. Pain is still a very dangerous opponent, and with all the tailed beasts under his control he doesn't need soldiers anymore, Madara pointed out. He can carry out his plans on own. Why are you helping us? Naruto suddenly snapped at the ancient Uchiha. And how did you survive? By now, you should have learned I will never cease to haunt you. Tsukiyomi deadpanned. The worlds are collapsing, and the end is near. Your failure would spell my annihilation. What profit can I gain in the destruction of everything? Consider this a truce until our mutual problems are solved. We shall deal with our feud later, Kazama agreed, desiring to keep his alliance with the Uchiha a secret for the time. What else? More good news. Kakashi and Sakura are alive, Sasuke explained. Kazama paused briefly, before brushing off the news, deciding to focus on their prisoner. Who is this? Danzo Shimura, Tsunade's temporary replacement as Hokage. We caught him while he was going to a cage summit to discuss Akatsuki. Conan glanced at the old man briefly. We thought he might have the answers you were seeking. Kazama's heart stopped beating briefly as he recalled what Sasori had told him before his death regarding the leader of Root, and coldly glanced down at the restrained old man. He removed his helmet, revealing his face. Do you remember me? He had been waiting for this for months. Danzo clenched his jaw. Yes, you do remember me, Kazama stated. I am Naruto Uzumaki, the underdog, although now, I believe the roles are reversed. I have so many questions to ask you, and you're going to answer them. Why, for example, Konoha ordered Sai to betray me? Never, Danzo replied flatly. I will not reveal the Leaf's secrets to you, Uzumaki. He glared at Madara, or him for that matter. Always such a child, Danzo, Tsukiyomi mocked him, before glancing at his secret student. Do with him as you like, but be quick. Zetsu informed me breaches have opened in the Land of Iron, causing trouble. I need help to close them. He vanished through the walls. See you soon. Kazama grabbed Danzo's throat and lifted him above the ground, tightening his hold. Although he briefly coughed, the Rokudaime showed no fear. You don't have a choice in the matter, if you want to live. My father and grandfather died in battle as ninja, Danzo replied softly. Self-sacrifice is a ninja's duty. I will make him talk, the Dark Wolf suggested. How? Sasuke asked. The samurai seized one of her blades. A naked man has a few secrets. A flayed man has none. The sentence chilled Kazama to the bone, but his desire for revenge and learning the truth overwhelmed his scruples. Conan, however, was blatantly horrified. There is a cleaner solution, she suggested. With the Rinnegan, I can extract all information from his brain. The process will be deadly, but painless and efficient. How long will it take? Kazama asked. Danzo narrowed his lone eye. A few days at worst. I'm nowhere as good in this area as I am with the Diva Path. Kazama nodded to himself, and glanced at the rest of the group. Sasuke, Dark Wolf, you keep an eye on Danzo. He might try to escape during the procedure, and I will have none of that. Mei, Naruto, you keep Zetsu under watch. I do not trust him, and I want Izanami to be safe. And what will I do? Yugito asked. You're in command now. The entire group glanced at Kazama, then at Yugito, who was the most surprised of them all. What? Conan would be my first choice as new leader of the group, but she will be too occupied with Danzo. Kazama crossed his arms, noticing the brief pleased look on the paper woman's face. You're the second person with the leadership skills here. So, you're in charge. Why? The Nibbi's Jinchuriki couldn't understand. Because I'm leaving the group until I find a way to keep the Shinigami at bay. Kazama inhaled sharply. I put you all in mortal danger, and this will not happen again. Inari is perhaps dead as we speak thanks to my very existence, and despite how he acted he was still one of the strongest members we had. If he was taken out so easily while fighting with us, then there's a high chance that more of you can get caught up in this if you stay with me. I will return, especially to check out on Izanami's status, but only occasionally. He locked eyes with Yugito. I understand this is a great responsibility I put on your shoulders, but it's necessary and I trust you to handle this. If Izanami wakes up before I come back, tell her I'm sorry for what happened. I'll do my best. Yugito frowned. What will you do in the short term? First close the rifts with Madara, he declared. Then, the picture of his light side materialized in his mind. We'll see. Kazama-sama, my place is at your side, the Dark Wolf noted. Allow me to follow you. You will need swords, and a shield. Against a god, you cannot do a thing, the Amekage replied. Watch over my family in my stead for the time being. The samurai seemed ready to protest, yet nodded her head and consented. Take care of yourselves. The rest of the group nodded, with the world wanderer leaving the house. However, as he walked outside, a blonde girl caught his sleeve. What is it, Naruto? Sensei, I have to confess you something. She bit her lip. The Kyuubi gave me a special ability. Kubaiko, the Nadaime Hokage. Konoha had changed. It wasn't the little town of wood he had helped build and loved with all his heart. His Konoha had been small and peaceful, a haven of tranquility, at least until the Great Shinobi War started. Although conflicts and years had changed the leaf, it had remained a home to Kubaiko. This wasn't the Konoha he had grown within and loved. True, architecturally speaking the city was the same as in the Nadaime's memories. Yet a few new elements chilled him to the bone. Danzo's portraits were placated over walls. People were forced to wear uniforms. There was Anbu on every roof, watching over the population. It was horribly reminiscent of a much more sinister Konoha he had visited a few weeks ago. As he kept observing the city from the Hokage's tower, Kubaiko silently listened to Danzo's offers of peace. Wine. Alcohol dulls the senses, the scientist replied coolly, certain the Nadaime Hokage had nodded to himself. It had been a subtle test, to see whether or not the man in front of him was truly Tobirama Senju, instead of a phony. DNA analysis had been ordered, and Kubaiko had submitted to them. At this point, causing troubles was unnecessary, especially considering the threat posed by Deidara. This is strange. Tobirama raised his eyes at the Hokage monument, to see two of my students' faces watching over Konoha. While none of my brother's apprentices survived the first shinobi war, two of mine made Hokage. Sarutobi was a good Hokage, if a bit too soft in his later years. Danzo walked at Tobirama's left, glancing down at the city. He died to defend the leaf, as any shinobi should. He passed the torch to me. I see you lost an arm and an eye yourself, Kubaiko noted. I almost sacrificed my life, yet luck decided otherwise. I could have easily died too. Countless counterparts of his had not survived the fateful confrontation with Kinkaku and Ginkaku. Thousands died, but the leaf endured, rising better and stronger with each new war, Danzo replied. Now, your dream is realized. Peace has been achieved. The shinobi code is obeyed. The Uchiha have been contained. Kubaiko narrowed his eyes. Are there any survivors? The clan died out with Itachi Uchiha. Danzo tightened his grip over the cane. We are doing our best to reverse engineer the Sharingan and the Mokuden. We have made interesting discoveries, and I hopefully await the day we will be able to create a new generation of shinobi, trained from birth to serve Konoha. Tobirama briefly remembered Alpha's face, and banished it from his mind. It is in the nature of monsters to destroy their makers, he warned his former student. It is in human nature to destroy one another. Did you not create the shinobi code to tame this very nature? Danzo snorted. Are you a ghost? A product of Edo Tensei? A clone? My teacher is dead, and yet, you have his face, his chakra, his techniques, and his behavior. Why and how did you come back, Nadaime-sama? I am alive. As for why I came back, Deidara has to be stopped. The Nadaime clenched his fists. I can sense him in Sunagakur. Sunagakur's ruins, Danzo corrected. It was the second place he destroyed, behind Iwa. Kiri and Kumo followed. The elemental nations are crumbling. Only the leaf remains. But our roots are strong, and they run deep. Danzo's lone eye glanced at his former teacher. You did not answer my question. How did you come back? This is a long story. Haku, the Ice Princess. You shall sleep here, the dragon-masked Anbu told them, upon presenting Haku and Karasu their different rooms. Kakuzu was detained somewhere else, Danzo deeming the criminal highly dangerous. You are not to leave the building unless authorized and accompanied. We aren't your prisoners, Karasu snapped. We're visitors. The difference is lost on me. The Anbu snorted, his voice deep and guttural. Dinner will be served soon in the dining hall. We will not wait for you. Although slightly unnerved by the man's aloof behavior, Haku followed him in silence as he guided them through the place. She did not wish to cause trouble, especially within Danzo's territory. The man's offer at forming an alliance was not to be wasted, especially considering the threat Deidara posed to the entire planet. After leading the group to the dining hall, the Anbu sat at a table. A woman in her mid-20s, which Haku recognized as Shizune, Tsunade Senju's apprentice, was waiting for him next to a 12-years-old kid. Konohamaru Sarutobi, Karasu whispered to the Snow Woman, upon noticing her confusion. The Sandaime Hokage's grandson. Hello. The boy waved at the world wanderers, a cheerful smile on his face. Nice to meet you. I'm Konohamaru, the Leaf's best ninja and soon-to-be Rokudaime Hokage. Konohamaru, don't boast before strangers. I'm Shizune, a member of the Medic Nin Corps. Danzo-sama informed us of your coming. She glanced briefly at Karasu, as he and Haku silently sat with them. So this is true, another Uchiha survived. And the missing nin Haku Yuki is alive. She's not Haku, the Anbu said coolly. Haku died, impaled by Kakashi's Chidori, and yet she's there in front of me. She isn't her ghost. She's, like Deidara, same face, different person. He could have survived his fight with you, Shizune noted. No, the Deidara I killed was an over-the-top fool whose skills weren't that impressive. This is one has enough chakra to back up an army with C2 and behaves differently. He's far more focused and smarter. The Anbu snorted. I've got a new mission. Could you give me the injection please? So soon. Konohamaru frowned disapprovingly. But you just returned. Deidara is still out there as we speak. The injection please. Shizune sulked briefly, bringing a syringe out of her blouse and inflecting liquid in the ANBU's arm. Once the brief operation was over, the man rose up, bowed politely to the group, and left without a word. Don't blame him, Shizune told Haku and Karasu. Naruto wasn't always like that. So he's the Naruto Uzumaki of this world, Karasu whispered, as Shizune blinked briefly. Too long to explain. What happened to him? His chakra system. Your Sharingan sees what isn't obvious at first glance. The medic sighed sadly. He cannot remove the chest plate. Nor the mask. Why? Haku asked. Because there is nothing left underneath. Konohamaru sighed sadly. He cannot eat food anymore, and the injections are the only way for him to get the nutriments his body needs. The implications chilled Haku to the bone. What happened to him? Konohamaru and Shizune briefly exchanged a glance, and the Sandaime's son answered the question. The boss was very nice and cheerful once upon a time. He was studying under Kakashi Hatake and partnered with a bastard called Uchiha Sasuke. Karasu briefly frowned at the names mentioned. They were best friends and rivals, until Sasuke defected to Orochimaru. Nobody knows why exactly, Shizune spoke. Naruto was informed first, misinterpreted it as a kidnapping, and with a few genin launched an unauthorized rescue mission. Danzo-sama heard of it quickly and sent a squad of Anbu after them. Unfortunately, the entire rescue team was massacred by Orochimaru's men before they could catch up, leaving Naruto as the only survivor. Konohamaru growled. Sasuke attacked the boss, and, you have seen the results. Sasuke destroyed most of his face, spine, and vital organs, Shizune continued. It was a miracle the Kyuubi's chakra managed to keep him alive, but it was obvious he wouldn't live outside a hospital room. Danzo contacted Tsunade-sama and I to solve this problem. My teacher wanted nothing to do with either Konoha or the Godaime, while I couldn't let a kid live like that. We argued, and we separated. I never looked back. Shizune lowered her head in shame. I did what I could to help Naruto. I really did. But it wasn't enough. You did what you could, Konohamaru comforted her. The boss can walk now. He doesn't have a true face anymore, and he will die without that special chest plate, Shizune whispered. His skills were crippled, and I realized he wouldn't be able to live without someone to check him out, so I decided to stay at his side. But Danzo, Karasu frowned. Wouldn't he? Well, a Jinchuriki like that isn't optimal. He could have replaced him with someone else. Konoha forgot the boss saved the village 15 years ago. While he never asked for the burden of being a Jinchuriki, Konohamaru pointed out, Danzo, he didn't. Haku briefly remembered how Zabuza, an otherwise merciless man, had once taken her under his wing. I guess no matter how hard they try to repress it, most shinobi cannot forego their empathy entirely. Naruto dedicated his life to avenging his friends by killing Sasuke, Shizune explained. Doubly so when the rest of his comrades fell during the Fourth Shinobi War. We're the only people he has left. In spite of his shortcomings, he became an excellent shinobi and rose through the ranks, reaching the statue of Anbu captain within a few years. Danzo gave him the name of Masayoshi. As title, he was recognized as a war hero, and in the end, he couldn't care less. All he wanted was to see Sasuke die by his hand. And did he succeed? Karasu asked. No. Shizune inhaled sharply. Sasuke was abducted by one of Deidara's goons, a boy looking like a clown. We found the stuffed corpse during one of our raids against their organization. Your friend has lost his reason to live on, Karasu realized. He's risking his life in pointless missions, always running into danger, obeying orders without question, Konohamaru summed up. He has nothing left to live for. No. Everyone glanced at Haku. He has you. Kazama. The Dark One. A maelstrom. A small black hole. This was how one could describe what Kazama and Madara were facing. A breach in the very fabric of space, devouring snow and trees, dragging them to who know where. Can you close the rift? Madara asked. With some effort, the Amekage focused, closing the breach with one last push. He felt drained of all vitality, and almost fell to his knees, the backslash getting worse. Done. Kazama suddenly noticed a disturbing element. Your arms, they're healed. You would be surprised how easy it is to replace limbs with the right resources. Tsukiyomi snorted, brushing away the teen's concern. I've an ace I want to show you. The powerful noise of clapping hands was heard. Mentor and student glanced in the noise's direction. A man was walking toward them, his black boots producing not even the faintest noise in the snow. The individual was tall, between 6 and 7 feet tall. He was wearing an elegant, regal red outfit, with drawings of dancing golden dragons sewn on the torso. His hands were protected with black gloves, the rest of his body by a cape of the same color. His face revealed he was in his 30s. It revealed who he was too. Shining golden hair, beautiful blue eyes, and whiskers. I am most impressed by your abilities. The older Naruto Uzumaki smiled kindly at Duo. I have been looking for you, Kazama Arashi, Madara Uchiha. You were a pain to locate. There was a disturbing aura surrounding him, which caused Kazama to narrow his eyes. Who are you? I guess you already figured out my identity, the man chuckled cheerfully. Well, while my name is the same as yours, I have a title different from you, Amekage. One I earned through fire and blood myself. The man presented his hand to them. You can call me the warlord. Sakura. The land of iron was silent and eerily calm. Sakura Haruno glanced at the snowy mountain where the cage summit was supposed to be held. 3 peaks, with a fortress dug inside. This is where Danzo was. Hopefully, they will catch up to him before the summit began. Is he here? I cannot say, Kiba replied, riding Akamaru's back. The scent simply vanishes after a point. And I can smell blood. Did Akatsuki attack? Ino wondered. Bandits, perhaps. In which case, this journey will have been a waste of time, grunted Neji Hyuga, the final member and leader of the 4-man squad. His Byakugan could not see far enough to confirm what happened, which obviously angered him. Sakura ignored them and focused on the mountain. They had come this far to convince Danzo to renege on his newest decree, which had ordered the execution of Sasuke Uchiha, missing for 3 years. Sasuke had yet to do anything against Konoha or his old comrades, and the medic Nin was positive she could convince him to come back. She had promised herself she would. Troubled forehead, Ino whispered. How is Kakashi-sensei doing since last time? He isn't getting any better. When she had found him, he had drowned his failures in 3 bottles of sake and was about to open a 4th until she intervened. He has been like this ever since. Ever since. Ino narrowed her eyes, understanding Sakura's troubles. Naruto's disappearance had shaken up and shocked the Konoha 11, more so when Konoha's investigations led to the nearly certain evidence that the blonde was dead. Hinata and Kakashi in particular had been brought to tears, with Tsunade and Jiraiya not so far behind. The Sannin had been hurt by the revelation Naruto had probably achieved a mutual kill with their old teammate Orochimaru. Sakura had attempted to find him, again and again while her friends deemed it a fool's errand. He told me to get away, she remembered, that he would survive. Naruto never breaks his promises, he has to be alive somewhere. Meanwhile Sasuke had vanished, although Jiraiya's spies revealed he had managed to kill 2 Akatsuki members, Itachi Uchiha and Deidara. Sakura had attempted to locate her old crush without any success. Is he even worth the effort? She asked herself. It was because of him Naruto died. Naruto loved you. How could you? How could you let him die? Hinata's angry words resonated in her mind once more. Sakura didn't muster any reply. The Hyuga had been right, everything Naruto had done was for her, and she never acknowledged his efforts. His death was the medic's fault, and she couldn't deny it. If she had been stronger, if she had stayed with Naruto, perhaps they could have beaten Orochimaru. I should have been the one to die instead of him. Kakashi wouldn't have fallen so low if Naruto had been there to give him confidence again. Team 7's teacher was a shadow of his former self, drowning his sorrow and blaming himself for the defection and death of 2 of his students. All Sakura could do now was to preserve Sasuke's life, and try to bring Kakashi and Konoha hope by convincing the last Uchiha to return home. Then things had gone to hell. Gaara and Sunagaku were gone. The Godime, in a diplomatic mission at the Hidden Sand when Pain had assaulted it, had been beaten into a coma. Jiraiya was doing his best to locate Akatsuki's leader, allowing Danzo Shimura to replace Tsunade temporarily. Akatsuki itself was on the verge of winning, and had to be stopped. But they couldn't defeat the organization if they were divided. Still the same thick head. Ino's voice snapped Sakura out of her thoughts, and she realized she hadn't listened to her friend's words. Sorry, she apologized. It's just, I can't stop wondering what went wrong. What I could have done. You can't change the past, the Yamanaka shot back. Drop it. What happened is set in stone. Now, all we can do is looking forward. The blonde lass glanced at Kiba. Hey, doggy, can't you hurry? It's getting cold. Sakura suddenly realized the Inuzuka was as pale as the snow surrounding him. Both him and Akamaru were silent, their eyes open wide. What's happening? Haruno asked. Enemies. This scent. Kiba locked eyes with the medic. It's his. Sakura's heart beat faster than ever. Naruko Uzumaki. The Golden Lady. As she sat before the fall in a lotus position, Naruko received last encouragements from Yugito. I'm certain you will win, the former Kumo Nin told her younger friend. You only have to focus and be determined. I will prevail, Naruko replied, more to herself than Yugito. Closing her eyes, and opening them again, she found herself facing her darkness. It was a gigantic shadow, with a vaguely humanoid shape. A creature of smoke and darkness, devouring the surrounding light like a parasite. I was waiting for you, it began, with a faint, inhuman voice. Welcome back, failure. Hello, my darkness. Naruko shrugged her shoulders. I expected you to be taller. I am as tall as your flaws, the creature mocked. I am Yami Naruko. I am the true you, and you are but a weakling. Have you come to bother me? I have come to conquer you. Naruko crossed her arms. Step aside and let me see Kurama. Why? Because you're weak without it. Because it is my friend and I want to meet it, Naruko shot back. Cut the crap about how weak I am without the Kyuubi, Madara tried that and it failed. Yes, its chakra helped me win many of my fights. Yes, it saved my butt countless times. But I am not weak. I've survived Susanoo without it. I have broken the Tsukuyomi without it. And I will continue to win without it. I'm not here for its power. I am here to speak with Kurama. Friendship is an illusion. The shadow's tone betrayed true anger. Obviously, it hadn't expected Naruko to stand up to it. Your friends are fake. Your thralls. Your pets. You're alone, and you shall always be alone. Your bonds are as fake as you. I'll tame my power and create true bonds, she shot back. I was fake, yes. Presenting a mask to be loved, but I don't need that anymore. Honesty doesn't hurt. The truth you keep to yourself, however, does. I've resolved to be myself from now on. The girl crossed her arms. Do you know what Kazama-sensei told me, when I admitted I had the power to influence others? The shadow stayed silent. He told me the truth as well. He told me about the creature eating his mind, how tempting its offers were, how difficult it was to resist the urge to go mad with power. I inspired him to say the truth to others. Naruto smiled. And then, he told me he trusted me. Yami Naruto almost retorted something, but Naruto cut in. He trusts me to control this power. He isn't afraid, he isn't disappointed, far from that, in fact. He's proud I admitted my faults. He's confident I will be able to overcome them. She put her fist over her heart. That's why I will prevail. Because of someone who believes in me. But do you believe in him? Yami Naruto replied sneakily. You have seen him for what he is, a man slipping into madness, a ruthless tyrant, a mass murderer. Your hero is a false idol. I will change him, Naruto replied. I will save him. I'll defeat Madara, anyone who tries to drag him into the dark. Even if I've to die for it, I will be by his side and help him. And if he chooses evil out of his own free will? The shadow chuckled. What if you fail? If I fail, Naruto adopted a determined expression. I will assume the consequences. This is all I have to say. I will win or I will die. I've made peace with that possibility. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I will not give up, and I will not break. That's my Nindo, and I won't compromise on it. The shadow stayed immobile, uttering no word. Finally, it started speaking once more, with Naruto's own voice. You have grown bold, girl. It extended its hand. Very well. Let's see the path you will take, together. Naruto smiled, and shook hand with her shadow. Let's go meet Kurama. The shade chuckled, and vanished in smoke and sulfur. The scenery changed, being replaced with a sewer and a giant, nine-tailed fox. Welcome back, Naruto, Kurama said, I was waiting for you. I was looking for you, Naruto grinned happily, grabbing the creature's muzzle. Let's go back to the real world. When Naruto opened her eyes once more, it was shining with power. Wait. What happened? Yugito frowned in surprise, as the girl stood up on her feet. Her body was covered with a layer of golden chakra, giving her a feral, graceful allure. She could feel pure power racing through her veins. Kurama's power, Naruto whispered, focusing. The power vanished, returning her to her normal state. But not mine. She glanced at the surprised Yugito and grinned. I want to win my battles with my own strength from now on. Say hello, to the brand new Naruto Uzumaki. The girl who won't ever give up. Yugito knee beamed with pride. Pain. He sensed it. This chakra. This power. The last of the 9 had woken up once more somewhere. Pain, once known as Nagato Uzumaki, opened his eyes, revealing the Rinnegan to the world. Kyuubi. Stats. Danzo Shimura, Godime Hokage. Ninjutsu. A rank. Taijutsu. B rank. Genjutsu. A rank. Armed combat. A rank. Defensive techniques. S rank. Battle strategy. S rank. Special skill. Sharing arm, lame pun intended, S rank. Special skill. Mokuden, S rank. Nagato Uzumaki, Pain. Ninjutsu, S rank. Taijutsu, B rank. Genjutsu, A rank. Armed combat, S rank. Defensive techniques, S rank. Battle strategy, A rank. Special skill. Rinnegan, S rank. (2453). Chapter 45. The Darkest Hour. It had the shape of a bird, and that was about it. It was a district and long machine in the image of a giant red bird. It was built with steel and iron, thick and strong. A door the size of 3 men opened, allowing the warlord to invite them inside. Shadow clones of the vessel's master, which appeared to be operating the weapons, glanced at the newcomers. Don't worry, the older Naruto Uzumaki reassured Kazama and Madara cheerfully. They're harmless. I don't trust anyone with my jewel. I see, this is a flying warship, Madara noted, entering calmly. Impressive. The inside is more welcoming, however, the warlord confided, and he was right. The interior was similar to a rich and decorated mansion, with comfortable sofas, tables of black wood, and fine food. The older Naruto sat calmly on one of the aforementioned sofas. Would you like some wine? Or perhaps would you prefer ramen? Believe me, Ichiraku's ramen is the best in the world. While Madara politely declined, Kazama skipped straight to the questioning. Who are you? I believe this should be obvious. Tikoku. The Wallard confirmed Kazama's guess with a sly, innocent smile. You're a multiversal criminal. Criminal. I don't break laws, I make them. I've built empires and admittedly destroyed a few as well. The warlord pointed at another sofa. Sit, please. I'm pretty sure you have heard a lot of bad rumors about my group. Do not judge us so hastily. Kazama frowned, but reluctantly accepted the offer. He sat, Madara joining, his arms crossed. I think I know enough. Which means, you are a raider, a despoiler of worlds, the Amekage declared. Really? Have you seen me do it? The warlord snorted. My group is a cooperative. We share resources and do not interfere in each other's operations, for we strive for different goals. Fellows like the Red Zetsu and Orochimaru do match your description, but most of us are sane. Kazama clenched his fists at the names. The Red Zetsu. Didn't your beloved Dark Wolf tell you? The older Naruto chuckled at his counterpart's surprise. You haven't been the only one running investigations, and my spy network is much better than yours, I think. I've been observing your group for weeks, and let me tell you, Zetsu-san has quite the grudge on your pet bodyguard. She massacred thousands of his children, but didn't stop there. You should have seen the throne she built out of their skulls and how she crucified many of them as an intimidation tactic. So he was working with that Zetsu. What exactly do you know about me? That you are in all evidence the individual that allowed me to create Tikoku in the first place. The warlord smirked. Allow me to tell you a little story. When I was 16, I think, I crushed an organization called Akatsuki, and took over the elemental nations. How and why would take too long to explain. I ruled them for 2 decades, and then, one day, a breach in space and time opened near Kusagaku. I had my ninjas study it, and they concluded it was a doorway to somewhere. After a short time, I developed a special ninjutsu able to open this rift, and another, until I realized my world was one among an infinity of them. Kazama ground his teeth. The man was right. The Amekage's own power was probably the enabling factor of Tikoku's rampage. Suddenly, the ungodly boredom that had haunted me ever since I achieved power was replaced with true excitement and joy. There were so many lands to discover, so many adversaries to fight. I had a purpose once more. And for this, I sincerely want to thank you. Kazama blinked, and the warlord chuckled. You should see yourself. Is it so surprising? I could do so much more than thank you. Why not join forces? You, me, Madara. The 3 of us together, we could take over all of creation in the blink of an eye. Civilians would call us the 3 legends or make songs about our adventures. Kazama clenched his fists. And your companions? I have no companions, only allies. If you wish to see Tikoku gone, it will be gone. I could destroy it on my own if you desire me to do so. As a token of my good faith and friendship, think about what we could accomplish together. What we could create. Or destroy. Madara snorted. We could, yes. And then, what? What afterwards? Whatever I want. The madman smiled. I want to do what I want, when I want, how I want. The world is but a playground for us. Madara Uchiha, Naruto Uzumaki, were exceptional. In nearly all the worlds I have visited, we accomplish great feats. The members of the Tikoku are simply the few other possibilities which got lucky, they're the exception to the rule. The world, all worlds, belong to us. Kazama inhaled sharply. And if we refuse your offer? What would happen? The warlord smiled. We could fight one another again, and again, and again. Thousands, no millions, would die in the crossfire. Glorious, but monotonous, I think. I don't see why you would want to go down that road. He laughed. I can see it into your eyes. We have the same goal, you and I. Which is, we want the world that wronged us burn. The warlord locked his eyes onto Kazama's in clear understanding. You have 3 days to ponder my offer, for I am a patient man. Afterward, I will come to hear to your decision. Think wisely. A few minutes later, Kazama and his mentor exited the fortress. Well, he wasn't half as crazy as I thought he would be, Madara deadpanned, as the duo walked through the snowy wastelands. Do not worry. I have the means. Kazama laughed. Madara glanced at him strangely, as he continued laughing, tears in his eyes. That's so funny, I want to die, he said, wiping away the tears. I'm truly fucked. The Uchiha stayed silent an instant. I've got one deity eating my mind, the blonde went on. I've another pursuing me, threatening to kill everyone I hold dear. My girlfriend is in a life-threatening coma. The multiverse is collapsing. I've got to stop an empire's rampage, and I'm on my own, Kazama inhaled sharply. Leave. I want to be alone. Madara nodded briefly. I will come back for you within a few hours, he said, vanishing through a rift in space. Once finally alone, Kazama stood immobile, surrounded by winter. Then he started walking aimlessly. He did not have an objective in sight. For once, he desired solitude instead of companionship. The snowy wastelands were seemingly endless. The world was white, the earth covered with snowflakes and the skies colored with the clearest blue. Silence ruled supreme, and Kazama felt at peace for an instant. Reaching a frozen lake after a few hours, Kazama glanced at the ice, locking eyes with his reflection. Removing the helmet from his head, while keeping it in his hands, the Amekage observed his features. He seemed so old, so lost. For an instant, the man who had been Naruto Uzumaki felt truly tired. He had enough. Enough of being on the run constantly, of facing dangers and threats, never able to escape his past. Enough of carrying a burden too heavy for him. Enough of having his happy ending constantly beyond his grasp, after the ordeals he and his family experienced. Enough of never finding inner peace. For the briefest instant, Naruto considered simply dropping everything. Somebody else would take care of Tikoku, somebody else would protect AIM. He could retire in some faraway world and live the rest of his life in peace. Settle down and let the world struggle. Kazama banished the thought. He would never stop walking forward. It was in his nature. He simply couldn't back down, surrender, or stop. The Amekage never learned to settle down, only to walk forward until he reached the end of the road, to beat his problems into submission. There were so many people to save, so many flaws to correct. He simply couldn't walk away and ignore them. Kazama observed the endless snowy wastelands, relishing in the brief calmness and silence. This is true order, he thought, closing his eyes, true peace. True silence. No life, no conflict, no movement. Nothing. He could have stayed there forever, if a voice hadn't shattered his tranquility. Naruto. That's a dream, he told himself. An echo of my memories. I just have to ignore it and it will go away. It has to go away. But the voice refused to leave him alone. Naruto, is that you? I don't know what you're talking about, Kazama replied, opening his eyes and glancing at the group of ninjas observing him from the other side of the icy lake. Leave me alone. I want to meditate in peace. Yet, they did not listen. Then again, they never listened to him in the first place. Most hadn't changed since the last time he met them. Kiba Inuzuka and Akamaru were such a perfect duo. Neji Hyuga was as stoic as ever. Ino Yamanaka was pretty, although less so than Izanami. He couldn't care less about any of them. Sakura was the most different one, however. She had let her hair grow longer. She was wearing a Chunin uniform and her eyes were slightly more confident. The same eyes that were observing him in a mix of confusion and tearful, naive hope. For an obscure reason it enraged Kazama. My name is Kazama Arashi, ninja of Amegakure, he told them. You must be mistaking me for someone else. Liar, Kiba narrowed his eyes. I recognize your scent, Naruto. Cursing whatever ancestor the Inuzuka had and their horribly acute sense of smell, the world wanderer grunted and shrugged his shoulders. Naruto, Sakura couldn't suppress tears. You're alive. My name is Kazama Arashi. Naruto Uzumaki died fighting Orochimaru. He's gone, for good. His harsh tone caused the four Konoha nin to wince in surprise. Leave me be. Everything went to hell in my life lately and I want to enjoy a brief break. Go away. Sakura hugged him. Kazama was genuinely taken aback by the display of affection, to the point he did not dare push her back. The young woman silently cried the head against his neck, in such a pitiful way the blonde actually welcomed the embrace. I thought you were dead, he heard her whisper. I thought Orochimaru killed you. Kazama briefly felt warm inside, and his previous, intense dislike of his former teammate was suddenly replaced with genuine compassion. I beat the snake. He refused to stay dead, but I killed him all the same, he told Sakura, before gently breaking the hug. What happened? She asked, shaking. Where were you? I traveled. I've met amazing places and people. I started a war with death and I won a battle with it. I've changed a lot. He crossed his arms. You however did not change that much. We kept looking for you, Kiba complained. Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Kakashi were shattered by your disappearance. If they were looking for you, then why did they not answer our distress call? Kazama's heart turned to stone. Jiraiya's very name had become a sore point for him. The group apparently noticed his change in expression. Let's go back to Konoha, Sakura suggested. Kakashi. Never. The chilling tone caused the group to glance at him in surprise. Why would I return? Kazama crossed his arms. The leaf is not my home anymore. I have no intention of setting a foot in this place anymore. No, that a lie. I'm going to return. To pay back a few people. Just like Danzo as we speak, some will wish to be dead when I'm done with them. What? Sakura's reaction was the most extreme. Neji, the most level-headed, simply asked a simple question. Why? You remember, Neji, what I told you, back when we fought for the post of Chunin? The Hyuga frowned, yet nodded. I was wrong. I was being a hypocrite and I didn't even know it. My inborn advantage was simply better than yours. I proved nothing that day, and I will correct that. I will make my own destiny, and I will surpass the leaf, my father, everyone. That's my new Nindo. He gave one last glance at Ino. Tell your father and the inner council to watch their back, he warned, mentally asking Mikabashi to teleport him elsewhere, for I'm coming for answers very soon. Wait, Naru. Sakura's words were cut short, as Kazama's surroundings were replaced with a snowy, lonely peak. Finally alone, he sat to the ground, and inhaled sharply. Finally, alone. No, not yet. The voice was but a mental whisper. It is time to speak. Draw a symbol with your blood, then give it your chakra, so I can feed on it. Do so, and I shall answer all your questions. Kazama blinked, and despite his desire to finally get some rest obeyed the voice. Biting his finger, he painted the Jashinist symbol on the snow with his own blood. The red fluid shined briefly with purple light when Kazama transfused his chakra to it, and the voice materialized inside. I told you I would come for you. The thing wasn't the darkness embodied. It was pure darkness itself. A primal absence of light. The shadowy form grew before Kazama, revealing itself in its full glory. Its shape was vaguely humanoid, and a single purple glow worked as its eye. Air itself was being consumed by its very presence. I am Amatsu Mikabashi. Ask your questions, and I shall answer them. Kazama, paralyzed in dread, however found the resolve to ask. What are you? What do you want? The blonde bit his lip. What do you want from me? I am the voice in the void. I am Jashin the shepherd of damned. I am Amatsu Mikabashi, kami of stars and oblivion. I am order, and my design is conquest. I have existed since before the morning of the world, long before there was life and movement, and until the end of times I shall remain in the dark. All I wish for is to help you. How? By sending the Shinigami after me. Kazama narrowed his eyes. How long have you been messing with my mind? I have been following your progress ever since the devastation of the Land of Wave. The creature shifted slightly. If you allow me to improve you, if you offer your soul to me, I will give you everything you ever wanted and will want. I will protect you from the Shinigami. All I desire in exchange is your loyalty. I aim to reshape the universe in my own image. You can help me with it. Consider it a win-win deal. I've managed to fend the Shinigami off once, he replied calmly. Me and my family will do it again. Family. The divinity shook its shadowy head. You do not understand, do you? They are with you for their own gain. They will betray and abandon you when you will need it the most. Kazama clenched his fists in anger. Why? The blonde asked angered. Why do you keep bothering me? What did I do to you? It is what you can do for me that interests me. You, and creation itself, are flawed. This must be corrected. Kazama's world was swallowed by a bright purple light. It would be better if I were to show you the light. The true face of the world. For the briefest of instants, Kazama saw reality through Mikabashi's eyes. It was perhaps the single most traumatic, brutal, nightmarish experience a human mind could experience. It was to see reality through the prism of a godlike perspective. It was to have their thoughts invaded by an alien presence to whom a single man was nothing more than an ant. It was to see the darkest of truth. Yet, for all its horror, Mikabashi's vision of the world was perhaps the simplest thing in the world. Everything flawed had to be deleted for the world to truly be perfect. Everything. Mikabashi's ideal world was a model of simplicity. Human life had no value. Each individual was a mere cog in a big machine that served no purpose save for simply existing. Failure was punished with death. There would be no privacy, no forgiveness, no escape, no chaos. It would be a world of order, where power was an ideal and an end in itself. It was a world where the only emotion was the zeal to inflict pain on those beneath you. It was a never-ending engine fueled by ambition and rage. As the information was marked in burning letters in Kazama's helpless mind, the voice grew stronger. Obedience is salvation. Freedom is damnation. To disobey is to die. 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 Obey. 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 Kazama screamed. Tobarama Senju. It was when he visited the academy that the former Nadaime Hokage learned how low his former student had sunk. It didn't take long to discover the secret. Special training program, a good chunk of students of the Leaf had to undergo as graduation. Kubaiko was a man of many talents, and one happened to be information gathering. He had created the Anbu, after all. The truth had left a bitter taste in the man's mouth. Danzo had sullied both the Leaf and his teacher's ideals. The road to hell had been paved with the blood of the innocent, and Danzo had walked in an ocean of it without hesitation. When Danzo summoned the former Nadaime to his office, he instantly noticed the scientist's cold stare. "May I ask what is bothering you, Tobarama-sensei? How could you inflict this on children?" Kubaiko snapped. "How could you cross this line?" Danzo instantly understood. The program showed results. There is a reason the Bloody Mist created one of the best military in the elemental nations in spite of their low population. "This is insane," Tobarama replied, outraged. "You have students grow up as brothers, then force them to kill one another to graduate. Konoha has the highest population on the entire continent, so we can afford it." Danzo's cold pragmatism chilled Tobarama to the bone. "I value quality over quantity. I fail to see how this madness can make better ninjas," Tobarama replied in disgust. "Upon killing a loved one, the student kills his emotions," Danzo shot back, narrowing his lone eye. "You taught us a true shinobi had to contain his emotions, to obey a code without fail. Emotional bonds go against this ideal." Kubaiko felt as if he had been slapped. "How dare you use my own values to justify this atrocity? I taught you to contain emotions, not to kill them. Everything I did was in accordance with your teachings," Danzo defended his viewpoint. "You taught me emotions were a ninja's biggest enemy. The Uchiha were the living proof of it. I never advocated killing Konoha nin," Kubaiko shot back, starting to lose his calm. "No, but you advocated self-sacrifice. Isn't what the new generation is doing? By dying, they can help their teammates improve and better defend the Leaf." Kubaiko clenched his fists. "You completely missed the point of my lessons." Danzo paused, causing his teacher to elaborate. "All I did was for the greater good of the Leaf. For the big picture." Tobarama narrowed his eyes. "But a big picture is made of small pictures. Konoha was created to give a better life to the victims of the Warring States era. People do not exist to serve the Leaf. The Leaf exists to serve its people. To make them happier and safer with a higher standard of living than the hell I grew up in. By ignoring this rule, you spat on the sacrifices of those who gave their life to create a better world." "What I did." "Enough," Tobarama cut in. "I failed as a teacher, and if my lessons truly lead to this situation, then I failed as the Hokage too. We have nothing to say to each other, Danzo Shimura. You are my student no longer." Danzo frowned. "What will you do? Destroy the relay, kill Deidara, then never see your face again?" The Hokage shot back, turning around. "Farewell. You are not going anywhere," Danzo warned, as the Anbu opened the office's door. "You are under arrest. I cannot let you leave with the Leaf's secrets."